Dead underneath the turret, and these mid laners are battling to try and roam. But it's always Chaz saying, stand back.
Chaz keeping him.
It's Menulog meal time, huh? Already? Mate, I just slept through that break. Big break. Good little nap. Getting old. Have to have those little nana naps in my age. But of course, yes, Menulog meal time again, which means it's time for you guys to make a little bit of cash on Menulog. As long as you type that code word in the chat, you know what it is.
Menu
and if you don't,
Poj.
it's just there. It's Menu Pog, of course. And look, giving yourself $40 voucher to spend on Menulog, of course, and get yourself some nice dinner. Get yourself some little snacky poos to go alongside some great LCO, League of Legends goodness. And oh, goodness me, guess what?
What?
Kitty, you missed out on the fun last week.
Oh.
You missed out on the fun, so you get to play first.
Oh.
Rusty,
Hey.
don't make it as hard as last time.
Of course. Why would I?
That was...
Oh, yeah. My one was a little bit too up for interpretation,
I don't know
if
if you watched last week, but Max got pie, and he had to guess a pie, but that...
I wrote pie, and he's like, could it be sweet? And I'm like, it could be.
Like, it could be an apple pie.
Oh,
It's his favorite. I'm like,
hell
yeah, it could be.
It got really difficult. It got really difficult.
I'll help out. I'll help out. I was going to be... I realized that could have been mean.
What? I need to see for context. All right. No cheating. No cheating, Kitty. Beautiful. All right. And...
I didn't want the Max issue to happen, so I put it in.
Love it. Love
We
it.
just gave it a solution.
yeah, nice.
okay.
Yeah, fair. No, okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. Awesome. Well, you've got a certain amount of guesses. You got 3 overall guesses, but question away, huh?
Am I eating for breakfast? Breakfast.
You could be.
You could be,
I
but ideally,
have.
ideally not.
No.
Let's just say no to
Thanks,
make it
Rusty.
not hard.
No.
Yeah, no.
Am I a snack?
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I fried?
Not this one.
Oh, I thought, yeah. I also
I
heard
guess,
that, yeah.
Like,
I
I
heard
guess,
yeah from
I
afar.
guess yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure they
surely.
cooked
I
in
guess
hot oil.
yes,
It's
but
cooked
that's
in hot
probably.
oil.
I just don't think that's what Kitty's thinking, right?
Yeah, probably not, but it's a snack.
But
and
yeah,
it's-
yes.
Yes.
Am I fried meat?
No.
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 See, that's the. That's the.
The
Yeah.
difference.
Am I a
Yep.
pastry?
Kinda
Yeah.
along that line.
Am I sweet?
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh! Am I a coconut roll?
No,
No.
but that's
No.
that's one guess.
Damn. Am I dessert?
Yes.
I'm dessert? Shit! I'm dessert?
Just remember, you're a snack.
We're saving you for later, Kitty, huh?
Fried dessert that is sweet. Huh.
And a snack.
And a snack.
Snack.
Am I fried pineapple?
No.
See, I knew fried would throw you.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
damn.
You're not, but that's 2.
Oh.
Maybe like don't think of it as fried.
Don't think of it as like deep
Am I
fried.
baked?
Yes, let's go with baked. That's more along the right route.
Never say
We're
that
gonna lead
question
you to
ever again.
the answer.
Okay, I'm baked.
Okay, and we also have a sideline reporter coming in. Thank you, producer Laura. 2 out of 3 websites called it a pastry.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, fair.
You guys
Yeah.
are misspreading misinformation.
We said yes.
Oh.
We said yes.
We said yes.
Oh.
It kinda could be.
Good.
2 out of 3 websites say
Am
it is.
Am I served at restaurants frequently?
Give us like a type of restaurant that you're thinking, because restaurant can cover a lot of bases.
Just like the ones that you go to the city and you walk in and it's like the default menu?
No, I would say no.
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 So it's
No.
very specific.
Just it's not.
Do we start giving clues?
I'm never letting Rusty write whatever is on top of my
You get
head.
from like a cafe.
A cafe? Ooh.
Mm.
Am I
If we're out of time, I have
a
one hint.
waffle?
Just so you know.
You got
Ooh,
one.
close, but
Big round hint.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I get a big hint before?
Do you want the hint now?
Yes.
Yeah, I finished all my
I ate
guesses.
one today.
I'm a donut!
Hey! Beautiful. And you particularly were a strawberry donut, but that was just so we could get you on the donut track.
Because donut could be anything.
Yeah. Anything round with a hole in the middle. Could be a bagel.
yeah.
Are you okay?
True.
You don't look happy with that. You look so disappointed.
The look of scorn on
I
your
don't
face.
feel like that was my fault. Donut's a really simple one, right?
See, the thing is,
It's
the
just-
guesses so far, like, if... so I'm going to do the next one. I'll do the next one tomorrow.
Okay.
But if I was to start guessing, I'd be like, am I made in a bakery? Am I made at a
Sure.
fish and chip shop? Do you eat me at a like a nice cafe? Am I from an ice cream parlor? You know, something like that, because it is a snack. It's going to be a snack. But it's like, am I at a restaurant? Well, of course you bloody could be. Like, at the same time, let's start talking about the game. That was Menulog mealtime, and this is Bliss. Which is the opposite of what was going on Kitty's face there. Now, Skimmy, tell me, what are Bliss going to do today? Because they got PGG on the other side of the rift.
Yeah, well, this is a really exciting matchup here, Mac, because this really is the battle of two heavyweights in the early game. I think you're really looking at a case of seeing Daystar hit peak performance. He's playing pretty much everything when he's firing on all cylinders. They look so strong. When he's been targeted, however, that has been a bit of a weakness for them. I will say, though, that coming into the playoffs, they have been the best team at controlling objectives. They have the first stat in everything. Drake, Herald, Baron, you name it, they claim it. So I think a lot of that comes in part to the dynamic between Why Not and Daystar in particular. Hence why they are, top 3 for the MVPs in the league right now.
Yeah, definitely right up there. But let's start talking PGG. It feels like it's been a while since we've seen them have a lot of presence. We did get to see them a little bit last week, and they definitely turned their game around, but unfortunately, look, it didn't quite work out on that second affair, and that's why they're up against Bliss today. Coming in as that second seed, but what can they do to succeed, Kitty?
What can they do to succeed? Well, play for Violet. I really just feel like all the ADCs on our top 4 rosters have been shining in the past few weeks just because of how the meta is. But I think Dongi as an addition in the mid lane, where he is willing to play a lot of this resource-giving champions like the Talia and something like the Set. He's just very flexible, and that's what you want from a mid laner. Paired alongside Shernfire, where he is willing to make those plays in the early game. Well, if Violet is in form today and he is willing to just go for it in every single team fight, I think they really just are going to take over these team fights. But my biggest concern is going to be about Chippies, as I think he is the most shaky member of PGG. But if Team Bliss doesn't take advantage of this, it could be an angle for them to really stabilize the early game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Team Bliss play in this series as well, because look, when Lived started to get back into form in that last series up against Chiefs last week, it just looked so good. Everything was activating, everything was working for Bliss, but they need to find that consistency all across the Rift if they want to continue to be this upset team, the underdogs, the up-and-comers that we've been spieling this whole damn time. But PGG, they've had the practice, they've started to scrim a couple of local teams as well as, permanently boot camping up against the like VCS, the PCS, all those teams as well coming through. So they've got a lot of experience in this kind of chaotic kind of League of Legends. So what is going for PGG here? Like, other than the fact that a couple of people are going to say they're the favorites.
Two things that stand out for me is Dongi's been an exceptional role-swapping performance, right? He had the highest KDA during the regular season. He's retained that also going into the playoffs. I think his KDA is sitting right now at like 12, which is just phenomenal. I mean, that's basically like a death per game, if that, right? So he's really been a standout contender, and I think he should certainly give Daystar a run for his money, but also Violet. I mean, we saw the resurgence of Bliss in a way where everybody was looking to try and play at that extra level. We saw Lemus and Benvi really kick it up a gear against Raze and Aladoric. In saying that, though, Violet has been on another level himself, and despite him saying that laning phase isn't the priority, he's usually up by 12 CS by the 10-minute mark. So he's dominating lane. When it comes to team fights, nobody's close. Like, he's close to like 1k damage per minute, which is just phenomenal. So you give Violet the resources, you give him the the presence from, say, Shernfire or even Dongi. he's got the ability to definitely 1v9.
Yeah, and look, while we're on that topic of Violet, we actually have the bot lane stats for PGG as well. So let's have a quick look at what we've got here. Oh, for Team Bliss, sorry. So on the other side of the Rift, of course, you got Limas, you got Benvi. They've been doing work, and of course, this is against their last couple of games against Chiefs as well. So look, we've heard just exactly what Violet is able to do, but Limas, this is going to be a big test for him because they've been starting to pop off, but the difference is Limas hasn't played against PGG in a while now.
So I picked these stats specifically as well because it's Chiefs who are a top 4 team, right? This is Bliss's stats against the top 4 team in both a win versus in a loss. And like you highlighted, Limas as well with one of the most important roles. Lived had a very good series in their 2-1 against the Chiefs also, or 2-0, sorry, against the Chiefs also. But when they lose games, the bot lane suffers. Benvi often overextends to place wards. Limas often dies to ganks. And that is a catalyst to losing the game for a lot of Bliss's losses that they've had so far in the season. And then as a result of this, their mid laner who's trying to play like their team is ahead ends up in a side lane going 0-6 as well himself. And it's this interesting situation where like they don't know how to lose gracefully. They can't scale into a game yet that we've seen successfully from a deficit. Bliss are the type of team that need the lead and then use that lead to snowball a very clean game out. But you've seen it through all 3 stats now, Daystar on your screen as well. In losses, they just cannot slow the pace of the game down. And I think that's a result of like younger players, less playoffs experience for sure as well, but they also have a jungler and a mid laner that just want to do things. And I don't know if they know how to not do things.
Yeah.
So they're very reliant on getting leads, which they are good at doing, to be fair.
Well, someone that loves doing many, many things, including watching anime and playing League of Legends, is Lived. And we've got him here for the pre-game interview. Mate, how are you feeling going into the playoffs?
Yeah, pretty exciting. Been a while since I've been here, so excited to be back.
Welcome back. I believe the last time I was on the show, I was interviewing with Liv, so it hasn't been too long for us too. But how are you feeling going against PGG? This is going to be the first crossover for the past 2 weeks, so it's going to be very exciting. What are you expecting?
Yeah, very exciting game. I think PGG are a bit of a wild card, so not 100% sure how this game is going to turn out, but I think the other game will be a bit of a spicy one.
Look, last week you guys really started to hit your stride towards the end of the week. Hopefully that trend continues going into PGG today. My question for you is, how do you feel going up against Chippies? We were talking about, Chippies can be a little bit shaky. You've also been a little bit inconsistent over the last couple of weeks. Do you feel like you've got what it takes today if everything goes to plan?
I think top lane, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, top lane doesn't really matter too much in these games. It's kind of a bot lane dominant thing at the moment, but I think I'll hold my own against Chippies. I think he is not as good as he used to be. I think he can perform sometimes though. I think if he doesn't get ahead, kind of doesn't really know what to do.
And talking about top lane, because you say that top lane doesn't matter too much, but in the games that I've seen, Cassante pretty much solos the back line by himself, so you can't say that top lane doesn't matter. However, we've seen from Team Bliss that sometimes you guys do prefer the Ornn over champions like Sion and Cassante, so why is this the case? I just want to know it a little bit better.
Okay, so Sion it kind of depends on who they choose. If they have immobiles and it's very easy for me to get on them, then I like to pick Sion. But if it's very easy for me to die and they get like a lot from my shutdown, like a Jinx or something, it's hard for me to dive into like a Xayah, then I'm not going to pick Sion. It depends. It depends on a lot of things. There's a lot of variables that go into the choices between the Sion and the Ornn.
And one of those variables as well is what Wynot's playing. This man can play the big boys, he can play the fast things, but also the things that die really quickly. Have you had like too much of an impact on Wynot, considering we've seen this growth from him first coming into Bliss at the start of the split, but now he's here in playoffs, and the form from that first minute of that first game compared to right now is like just an immense change in performance from him. So have you had like much of that impact being the most experienced player in the team?
I think he's actually performed a lot by himself. I think this is like his first time playing like in LCO, so I think he's actually like like picked it up a lot. I think I'm actually very impressed with like how fast he's been able to learn everything. I don't think it's mostly me though. I wouldn't say I have like anything to do with that. I would say that's just like all him.
Last
He's doing
question
this all
before
by
we wrap
himself.
up the interview, however. We have seen a slight buggo sliding back into the meta for patch 13.4. I'm sure you're
Buggo.
aware of this. So Cho'Gath has been making his return in a lot of these major regions. So are we going to see it for tonight? I don't want to leak too much, but just give me a...
We
Oh, okay. And on that note, quick, cut the cameras.
Cut the cameras.
Good luck.
Go,
Cut the cameras. Goodbye.
See ya.
We
See ya.
got him, boys. We got him.
We got the
We finally
nodders.
got some giraffe leaks.
We got the nodders.
You got a nodders
the
for a
nodders,
Cho'Gath.
mate.
I mean,
I have something to voice.
Nodders for the bug O.
It might not actually be a Cho'Gath for Liv specifically.
True.
My man Lemus is a bit of a freak in that bottom
who's the
lane.
Cho'Gath player?
He
Played
is
it with-
willing to play
What was
Senna
it? It
and
was-
Cho'Gath.
Limes and TNC of last year.
You can cho sup too, right?
Yeah,
Just
it
hit
was.
Qs.
Yeah.
You Cho'Gath support with the Senna because the Cho'Gath farms. And most AD
Right.
carry players want to be the Senna because it's their comfort zone. It's a ranged carry.
Mm.
And I mean, Benvi's also like a 4-role player, so I'm sure he'd be comfortable playing the Cho'Gath in
You
it.
could also like perfectly sync your cho ult with the new smite as well to just be taking objectives at like 2200 health.
Oh, it's broken. Yeah.
It's pretty broken, but I think Lemus is gonna play Cho'Gath. I
Ooh, I hope they paper,
solo
scissors, rock for it. That's what I hope.
We just
What
see
if
it
we
in the
see
player
Daystar
count.
Yeah,
play
yeah.
Cho'Gath mid?
What if Daystar
Check
played it
mid?
mid? Yeah, do it.
Cho'Gath's good in a Rise. It's probably
Yeah,
good into
Ace ult.
Talia.
Be good
but
into
you
Annie.
take a lot of... Yeah.
Anything
yeah.
short range, you're just kind of like,
Might be-
boom.
He's willing to play Gragas, so why not Cho'Gath? Why not take it that extra step further?
Yeah, great question. Someone that could probably answer that is Appy. We haven't spoken to my man Appy for a while. First question, are you playing Cho'Gath in the support role today? Because of course, look, you've been mid, you've been top, you've been everywhere and back again. So why not just run it back, huh?
Yeah, well, Cho'Gath is definitely in my champion pool because I play every champion, and Cho'Gath is a really, really easy champion. And also, I've seen Gumayushi plays it in solo queue, so yeah, we might put it out today.
Ooh,
Yes.
talking about playing every single champion in the pool, you are also scrimming some of those PCS teams over in Taiwan. So I wanted to get a bit of insight on our side because I know you used to play in the LDL as a support player. Now you're playing support again. So do you think playing against this region once again is going to really just change the way PG has been developing for the past few weeks?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think like I've learned a lot of stuff because obviously after I came back from LDL, I played different roles, right? So I still need to relearn the new support role right now. And the way we play the game is trying to like copy like the really, really good player. Obviously, we don't get a chance to play with the top region like LEC, LPL, LCKs, but PCS is also a really, really decent region to learn from. So yeah, we be preparing a lot and learn a lot from them, and we probably gonna show up today.
Are you cold at the moment, by the way? What's the temperature like over in WA? Because I see you wearing a
Okay.
jacket.
It's just my thing, right? Like I wear a jacket every time because it's not cold, but I just like to wear a jacket.
Okay.
It's
Well, I have a
definitely not
theory.
cold.
I have a theory because every time I watch you play RP, you always do this, like you do the neck thing. You put your
Oh,
hand
yeah,
onto your neck.
that's-
So are you
that's true.
cold?
I do
You're
this.
cold. Surely those
Yeah,
are
well,
just
when I
cold
play the
hands.
game, all my bloods all my bloods run to my head, right? I need to use my brain to play the game. So my feet and my hands are cold. So actually, yeah, I need to do that too.
Stay warm, King.
I'm so curious that you're able to channel your blood to the places you need it the most. I don't get that option in my life, so congratulations on having that
you.
ability. But at the same time, Appy, look, good luck in the game today.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
He doesn't know.
He's
He doesn't know.
magical man, huh?
Yeah, he's blessed with magic. That's crazy.
Just does this and just
Poor
sends the blood back to his brain. I'm not that lucky. Look, either way,
Unfortunate, mate.
let's see who's getting what side in the second series of the day.
Good
Looks
see,
like
Doctor.
Bliss coming in on the high seed, taking red side. Understandable, but we didn't see Direwolves doing that, so let's see if it's a bit more successful for Bliss as the high seed.
So this was it's essentially what I was talking about in the first series as well, though, right? When they chose the blue side instead, is I think on red side, like it isn't just the last pick that is invaluable.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you get to usually see their whole bottom lane, and like you heard in the interviews, the game's played around bottom lane, so like you can actually react and perhaps have a winning situation into the ban.
That's how this game is played, but you guys at home get to play another game. It's called the Dare Fan Vote. Get those Twitch points in, throw them up there, big button up there somewhere. Thank you. On cue next time. We've rehearsed this 1,000 times.
Squirming.
I can't believe it. Look, let's have a look at our predictions as well. You guys will get it by the end of playoffs, I swear.
Moving the blood to my fingers,
Got
mate.
me 2-1
Dare
Bliss.
Fan
Just all the
Is
blood
this
to my
a
fingers.
split down the broadcast once again? Can
Wait,
we get
so?
Rusty's
Wait,
one?
what do we have? Is Rusty?
What did I do?
Oh, you guys
my
got
God,
it!
again?
Winners couch?
Winners couch.
Winners couch.
Winners
All right, I'm out.
All right,
We might
well,
be the losers couch though this time. Who knows?
Who
straight
knows?
down the middle. Max, of course, on the Bliss bandwagon as well. That's interesting.
Which chat's
did you
owning
go
us?
2-0?
Twitch chat smurfing.
Yeah, they actually were. Did you go 2-0?
I went with a big fat egg.
0.
I have a feeling that both of these teams, once they lose the first game, it depends on how badly they lose it. They might not be able to come back in that second game. Especially for a team like Team Bliss, where we are in best of 3 territories, and there's a really funny thing playing on the side. But
Well, that's interesting.
well,
Please
yeah.
stop.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Every single time it derails your point.
And on that note, guess what, guys? Champ Select is ready. So let's jump into the second series of the day.
Sentence was.
It somehow always falls to Kitty to bring us into Champ Select. She's like, wait, that's me. Okay, forget it.
She's being completely bamboozled by herself.
Well, let's do it then. PGG up against Team Bliss. They
so funny, man.
they faced each other in the very last game of that single round robin, and that was a while ago now. And we did see some interesting tech in that one, right? We had the Rengar in the jungle from Why Not. We had the set mid from Dongy. We had a little bit of everything, but obviously things have changed a fair bit since patch 13.1. So let's see what PGG open up with as their first pick priority this time around.
Lee Sin. Okay, so compared to the Direwolves going for the Sejuani, it's going to be the Lee Sin here for Pensanet.gg. Now, it's not TN that's playing, so I don't think it'll be flexed to top lane, unlike the rank 1 Lee Sin top player. It is most likely just going to be going into the hands of Schönfire, who was a very good Lee Sin as well, it must be said, in their last series, did show up. But that gives Bliss a pretty free and powerful bottom lane duo in the Xayah and Rakan. It allows Benvi to be more aggressive with his wards, harder to catch him out, right, when he's got the Xayah to dash back towards. But Pensanet now gets to pick their opponent.
I will say, though, what was the downfall of PGG up against Direwolves when they were locking in this Lee Sin so early? It was just Chaz playing the Talia, and obviously a nightmare happened as a result of that one. We know that Daystar is the only other player in this entire region so far to show that he wants to play the Talia. So if we were to lock it in here now, otherwise you would imagine it's probably going to get banned away. That's what they did in the adaptation in that series they played before. The Xayah Rakan has come out as a response to the Aphelios Nautilus.
What's interesting is I feel like Pensanet want a Talia in their comp, because they're looking at a Rakan and a Gragas. We know that Gragas can be flexed towards mid lane, which is a free Talia push lane as well, right? Run him out of mana, have a pretty good time of it. It does also mean that ultimately Dongy can assume that it might be there. But the exception to the rule, and just to reference this as well for everyone at home, when Why Not is in the team, Gragas is probably going jungle.
Yep.
The beauty of Bliss is that it's a 3-way flex. It is a known 3-way flex because all 3 topside people have played this champion in competitive in the LCO. So locking that in third into bans really does nothing for Pensanet. It is just confusion. So I really like that choice.
And you're spot on the money, right? So Talia has been banned away, but by the Team Bliss side of all people. That's been taken away with the Ahri, whilst PGG have also put an emphasis on removing potential mid laners by denying the Yone. Obviously, we saw how proficient Daystar was on that champion, so I feel like that might just be a staple now going forwards. What would be their final ban to round things out? And the Jace, which, despite having the Gore Drinker Hammer form variation of it, still is obviously a very strong champion in the current fold of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Bliss have shown they can play the pick, so it's something that has to be considered through this draft phase. 4th pick, going to be the free lock-in here of the Wukong Gragas, mixed damage in terms of their damage profile on the top side already, alleviates any pressure for a top side pick or, you know, a 5th pick in general. We don't know where the Gragas is going. to be a specific damage type. So they're not limited right now. They get to see what Pensinet lock in, and Bliss just get to pick the best counter that exists for them. 3 rolls on the line here, plenty of options for them. Pensinet on the other side have got engage already through their support. The Nautilus, the Aphelios duo can play for the team and can scale into team fights nicely. They have pick now through the Lee Sin and the Cassante, who can play, you know, dissuasion tech if he wants to in team fights. But there's no Nara on the other side, so I'm very curious how this this Cassante will go in the hands of Chippies, who's a known carry player.
He is a known carry player, and this will be his first time playing a Cassante. He's yet to actually pick it up at all. The Azir's finally locked in. Dongy, formerly Winterer, who played in the top lane. It's finally happened, and yes, as you said, the Yasuo comes out as a response. You can ban one, but the brother still exists.
Yeah, it didn't say this, but it has been banned from Bliss in previous weeks. It is a known quantity that Daystar can play this champion. Gragas Yasuo is a dangerous duo, but Wukong Yasuo is just as crazy. Add a Rakan into the mix. They have knockups. Daystar has options, and he gets to pick and choose when he wants to combo and go for those team fights. Knows that he's got the Azir and the Lee Sin as his matchups as well. Which does mean, you know, a little bit harder to navigate through the lane against the Azir sometimes, but you can have kill threat. You just have to be super careful.
So let's talk about it then. Obviously, the clear variation or the emphasis for Bliss is have every single avenue of making sure that this Yasuo is going to succeed. What do you think is favorable then for the likes of Schönfire? Is it to target the mid lane or to gank the lanes around him and say that, yeah, much like the series we just saw, you can try and be strong individually, but the rest of your team's just not there to back you up.
So if the Yasuo falls behind, the combo has no damage, right? It's going to be a consideration that they have for themselves, especially when the only real magic damage in the Team Bliss composition is going to be the Gragas top lane, who is often removed from skirmishes and only really gets involved in team fights. And even then, won't be hitting front line usually. We'll be hitting the back line, trying to keep them at bay and threaten those one hits. So I like the idea of ganking the Yasuo. And with that in mind, Yone banned instead of the Yasuo. One of the reasons that that's good for an Azir is if Azir cops a Yasuo ult, Emperor's Divide under the turret. If a Yone goes in, you Emperor's Divide, he just shoots back with his E.
Slingshots, yeah.
Right? So this is one of those things where I think the volatility in mid is actually very high. And I think both players know it, because as we hop on, they have opted into the teleport.
They certainly have. Well, let's load into the Rift then for our second best of 3 of the night. One team already secured, locked in for that best of 5. Now waiting to see which one of these teams will be joining the Chiefs to try and get themselves already in a position to succeed. As mentioned already, both these teams are highly capable when it comes to the early game. A lot of their aggression stems from that. We've seen the likes of Schönfire be at the forefront of kill participation as well as first bloods, but he has paid the price by dying a fair bit for just that. Why not also, I feel like in recent weeks, has really answered the call, trying to showcase that he may just be the best jungler in the region. So certainly a big emphasis on that, despite it feeling like we're always putting a target on the bot lane.
The one thing that Bliss do have going for them most of the time is some pretty good drafting as well, right? One of the things that lent very nicely into their series winners, Daystar's been hard red.
He certainly has been. That's a hook to start things off with, and there's the Sonic Wave after, and Ignite too. And I think Daystar's resigned himself, saying there's no point me flashing here. I am gone. That's first blood for PGG.
Yeah, so Daystar actually leveled his E, tried to dash over the wall and create space instead of using that flash, because they might have just been able to flash and follow. So holds on to the Summoner spell as another hook comes in from Appy and just keeps Benvi at bay. Very nicely done by Pensinet to start this off. That felt like, again, preparation comes out clutch, because the 115 ward placed by a mid laner does happen often, but if it happens every game, you know what's going to happen. What's to stop you from just having a Nautilus waiting in the bush?
Well, it sounds like a case of watching VODs, understanding tells, and seeing habits form and ultimately be exploited, as you saw just there at heal, being burnt.
They have 2.
Okay, we'll just diminish and return gamers.
I think they might have had a little bit of a miscommunication there.
Yes.
Because if you're going to go for the heal as the support, Lemus probably wants the exhaust, vice versa. There could have been an ignite in this bot lane. Don't think you needed a cleanse in this one, but I guess in theory you could. That's odd. That has to be a mistake. There's no other...
It feels like it, doesn't it?
So I guess that's why Benvi used his heal though, right? Just to keep healthy, because he's got a backup anyway.
Now he's got to rely on Rakan sustain instead.
I don't know if we missed something. I'm pretty sure that's not intentional. Happy to be proven wrong. Fire bottom.
Here we go. Appy, well, he's warmed up and ready to go. As he goes in with a hook after which you can run away. But Schönfire's hot on your heels. There's the passive once again, locking you down. Just a little bit too much time needed to secure the kill. But literally every summoner, while the Rakan's flash now got in bot lane.
And I'll tell you what, we didn't really get a chance to talk about this too much, Skimmy, because we were straight into a level 1 fight from Daystar in mid, but you know very well that there's going to be high action between Bliss and Pentanet.gg, two teams that very much are early focused.
Yep.
Can team fight, right? They have a couple of fallback options, Violet for PGG, the obvious team fight fallback, but they always look for aggression early before they look for anything else. They're just going to have a little bit of a skirmish. The end result in bot lane is a fantastic play from Pentanet, and most importantly, Appy is on one in this game. He's not missing. He is relentless.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's had his moments, right, where we said that was a questionable hook or a bit of an interesting engage and maybe a graceful god to donate a kill across, but not today. Maybe warmed up from that interview. He's certainly filling himself in this game. So a first blood has ultimately helped out Dongy in the matchup that you already mentioned was one that could make life a little bit difficult here for the LCO. And already pressure, a sore spot in the bot lane that you'd imagine Schönfire definitely going to poke his head into try and exploit again.
Yeah, for sure, and Schönfire wanting to be active early, wanting to hit, you know, ganks if he can, hit level 6, and then really look for those ganks as well. So, look for those experience breakpoints as we get past and towards our second clears of the jungle camps. Top lane, like was spoken about from Liv, probably going to be a little bit nullified between the two of them. Liv loves his tanks. Had a huge teamfight impact in the last series against the Chiefs, but again, ultimately is just going to be a tank and just chilling in that top lane. He gets the Gragas flex to him this time around and has to just accept that the flex has given him the chill hangout lane. Mid lane is where most of the attention from Bliss should go.
Speaking of, we might see just that as the mid jungles get excited. Flash having to be used there by Schönfire to run away, create distance, ward hop inside the Baron pit. But why not still hot on the chase? He's looking for that final auto. The Scuttler's giving him enough movement speed to run. And why not's out? He doesn't have a dash. He needs the WE combo, but Schönfire's toggling the Fog of War.
He has
and he's
minions
out.
to jump to as well. Wow. Saved by the Scuttle Crab that he secured earlier. Like a chef with a meal in the oven prepared, I guess. Very nicely done, but wow, he's lucky to be alive. Why not? Did not hesitate to flash that wall. He wanted to keep as close as possible, keep the distance. Mid lane as well. You saw the flash from Daystar. Went for the flash EQ, but isn't level 6. This is Bliss fighting to protect their Raptors, but playing it like they have ults.
Yeah, still very early on into this game, aren't we? Level 6 now, finally being found by at least one member, and that's just going to be Daystar in the mid lane as he resets back to base, but certainly a case of them wanting to be aggressive as if they have those ultimates. Not to be afforded to them.
And I mean, ultimately as well, looking at Appy on our screen right now with the stats, remember that level 1 Ignite that he used onto the Yasuo? If he had that, they'd probably get a kill bottom as well during that level 3 gank. We also may as well bring this up while it's relevant. Lemus, iconic at dying to ganks. Did survive the gank, but the gank was very successful. And that's a bad omen, I think, for Bliss, because in their win, he wasn't dying to those ganks. They were actually turning around the 2v3s. And so far, it's just been all stations towards Pentanet.gg.
Does seem like a bit of a staple from his interviews, whether memeing or not, saying, you know, come gank me 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever level it may be. Make it a 3v2. I'm used to it by this point. But it is the Xayah Rakan, a very feared combo. Will it be self-sustainable enough once we do start to break out of this laning phase and into those bigger team fights? That is the major question.
So, Azir Yasuo as well is one of those matchups that actually is extremely frustrating for the Yasuo to deal with, because anytime you go to last hit a minion, you're going to cop a Stand Soldier straight at you. And Yasuo, Azir doesn't need to use the Q component other than bonus damage. So, as that is it. I mean, yeah, let's take a second to appreciate a 71% fan vote.
Yeah.
A lot of Bliss fans in chat.
Huge emphasis on feeling like they have this one easily after a commanding 2-0 against the Chiefs. You can see why they might have the faith and the belief there. It really is all about who can find the most work done in these first 15 minutes, and it's only a singular kill found so far. Schönfire walking right across Vision is going to realize that, hey, they're walking away, but I am here to do what PGG have done countless times before. Dongy links up with Schönfire, 4 members collapse bot side, and Violet with the Chakrams just destroys those turrets.
Yeah, and it's really nicely done by Pentanet because it's a white weapon timing, right? So having those Chakrams there means it's almost 2 plates, and all Bliss did was back away for half of a wave.
Look at the CS difference in the bot lane as well, Rusty. I mean, that is cataclysmic.
Yeah, it's a little bit too high. Violet, however, is caught.
He certainly is. Cole, he's got the flash and he's got the heal. Burns that first of all, but he's answering back with damage of his own. He's not going to be too deterred. If he needed to, he always had the ult with the red weapon to self-sustain throughout.
All of the heals are on cooldown now. All 3 of them out of the 4 people in bottom lane having that heal summoner.
Seems weird to say, doesn't it?
It's a whole lot of movement speed that they were used for, not for the heal itself. Violet, like you mentioned, will be perfectly fine. Now we move towards the Rift Herald. Schönfire level 6 this time. So is the Wukong.
Yeah, Wynot goes in for a one-man ultimate, only onto Appy. Not the target he is really hunting for. Takes a bit of a beating, down to 50%. Burns the ultimate on thin air, but the Dragon, rather the Herald, is still there. Explosive cast goes out. Appy zoned away. Schönfire in trouble, and now he's dead.
Oh, he's
That's
zero.
a massive knockback there. But can they find much more? The Herald's still engaged, looking to try and solo out Appy. And then Chippy tries to do it all on his own, but 1v4 with no one there to back him up is inevitably gonna fall.
Yeah, interesting trade. And I mean, it goes very nicely in favor of Team Bliss, but that felt like a Yasuo that was running in way too far, but gets revived by his team. It was a Wukong that ults too early here, but only finds the support. And it was a fight where there was like a 4-man Azir ultimate, and somehow Pentanet lose this. It's one of the more interesting fights to watch, but Lived has an insane flank angle here and just separates them, actually brings the Lee Sin to the team, which means this Yasuo that was pushed really far forwards was looking for this Gragas combo, goes in and effectively is given an out by Lived hitting that cask, and then follows up with the Rakan knock-up. The fact Lee Sin dies before being able to do anything shifts the advantage heavily in favor of Bliss, and that was with everything that was missing at the start.
It certainly does. Swung the gold lead right back in their favor after being down just over about 1,000 golds. They've managed to pick up the gold lead as well as get the Herald too. Now that is going to be a case of PGG answering back by redeploying and claiming the Dragon. And you guarantee they're going to go for a fight afterwards. There's the hook. There's Bendy flashing away, but still rooted. Holds a ton of mobility, so goes for a 2-man quickness into a 2-man grand entrance. And that's a platform for Daystar to explode into action as he flashes forward. He wants that killer blow. Appy can't find it. There's the Featherstorm. He rips it back, but he couldn't find it. And now Wynot takes 2 turret shots to the face. Appy gets 1 in Benvy under the turret. It's getting a little bit too much right now.
Lemus has to take aggro here, I think, because it might be one auto attack. Turret's going to come through. They want to try and protect Appy.
Yeah, if he can get the turret onto him, and no, he can deny it with the clone, but in goes the Emperor's Divide. Dongy says, forget about this Herald. It's summoned, it's done its job. There's the Sonic Wave. And there's Dongy now 3-0.
And 700 gold from the shutdown from Wynot goes into the pockets of Dongy alongside the 300 for killing Lemus. And now he is an extremely fed Azir that is an issue. But while that was maybe too much from Bliss, while that was maybe a step too far where they could have simply disengaged and said, Nautilus, you've earned your freedom, it was still a successful fight at the beginning. And you watch this again, the hook's good, but the reinforcements from Bliss are going to get there faster, specifically Liv, who is keeping Dongy out of this fight, right? Which means that the Yasuo gets to go in, he finds Violet, finds Appy, and is able to just litter them with damage. Because we're not going to watch it. Violet's dead, and we're watching a teleport in mid.
We are.
Must have been a Gragas ult into a Yasuo ult.
You'd have to imagine with those ultimates being burnt on cooldown right now. It's being caught on mid-wave.
I think Lived is 1v9ing this game for Bliss.
He's turned it up a channel, hasn't he? Really in these last few weeks.
Top lane doesn't have an impact, he says.
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
He's been a little bit too humble.
What a king.
Getting it done on the Gragas right now. Even as that major source of AP is building as a tank.
And Violet dying in mid lane basically means the turret is gone. Teleport was used by Dongy to get to the last skirmish, so they have no resources to get here. They're actually going to bleed out this minion wave, it looks like, potentially. They were indecisive on if they wanted to do that or not, because it's 3 minions to catch for Violet. Watch how he dies in mid lane. Presumably is just Live from Fog of War, uses the ult. And the beauty of Yasuo is it doesn't matter where the cask goes. What matters is the cask hits.
Yes.
So where normally you can go for a Gale Force and dodge out on it so it pushes you to safety, not with a Yasuo.
As long as you're airborne, you're in trouble. certainly what we saw there. Very easy combo. It begs the question if we're ever going to see the likes of a Diana Yasuo come back into the fold of things, but for the meantime, we can certainly be content with seeing this as another variation of just that. We might just be seeing the run back in mid lane here as they go for so much of a chance to try and catch out the Azir, even with the quickness. Not quick enough to catch the Azir.
Yeah, rule number 1 of playing Azir in mid lane, if you don't feel safe, is never use your Q. Just last hit minions. The second they show signs of danger or threat, you can EQ to safety and it covers too much distance for them to chase you. So nicely done by Dongy. They're going to move their way back towards top lane. And that is also the very fed Azir as they're diving the Gragas.
Well, it's a 3-man dive onto a tank Gragas. There's the kick away and there's the kill secure that they want to hand across to Violet, who already has a monumental CS lead. Dongy is already so exceptionally fed.
Double killed.
Has just double killed on his own.
Takes out the Wukong and the Yasuo, and I mean, suffice to say, if I was to guess how that went, and I'm sure we'll find in the replay, they just tried to go under the turret, he just presses R, and they're both stuck under the turret dying to it. They actively go for this dive.
Oh no.
I'm not sure that that's allowed. I'm not sure that that decision is allowed.
Dongy's just living his best life right now. We've waited such a long time to see him play the Azir, and it is certainly delivering.
And we said there would be action. You know, we said that things would happen in this game. And you know that a Yasuo with 4 knockups or 3 knockups to help you out is going to be where the action revolves around.
For sure.
But not like this. I didn't expect it to be like this. Feels like we're getting a game of Bliss doing so many things right, but then also pushing their limits a little bit too far and being punished for that. I love the idea though. It's just too much.
Certainly worth a crack, but it's one of those champions that will certainly punish you. What's interesting for me is the fact that, yeah, Dongy is at the top, no surprises there, but Why Not is the most fed right now on Team Bliss.
He's got 4 of the kills. Very similar actually to the last Wukong game that we saw from Why Not, where it was against the Chiefs. He was the hard carry of the team. But last time around it was a single damage profile where he could just build a more of Malmortius and 1v9 team fight. It's not going to be as simple this time around. In fact, if he goes in, he's at risk of dying. But as we set up around this mid lane skimmy, as we set up for what is going to be an eventual fight around an objective, remember that we're dealing with a Gragas Yasuo combo, and Liv has flash. If they bunch, Team Bliss in one fell swoop could just one-hit the entire Pentanet roster.
They certainly could, and Pentanet is certainly aware of that, so wrestling for vision, Schönfire tagging him up with basic abilities. Chippies is not here, but it does have the TP if need be. So right now it's TB showing we've got the 5v4 advantage. And Chippies may just be granted free pass just to walk his way into this potential fight.
He certainly is. He's just going to clear the wave in bot. He's going to walk his way towards mid. It seems like the fight's going to revolve around the middle lane instead of the Drake itself right now. Priority on this mid lane control. Priority on the minion waves. But Lee Sin throwing Qs to reveal them instead of face checking bushes, right? Control wards are established now. Lines drawn in the sand. The question is, will Bliss find an angle? Or will the angle be a mistake? Because Pentanet can punish any mistakes on that engage attempt.
Dragon set up and Dragon deleted. Second one goes the way here for Bliss. Now Why Not flashing
They
in
got it.
and hits a massive knock-up where it matters. There's the shove back, there's the Emperor's Divide, and there's the kill target you need. Dongy is dead, picked up by Wukong. Why Not wants to be the carry as the jungler. And Daystar now's got a free platform just to keep dashing around like his heart's content. The job's done.
Oh, the flash going to be used as well. They're still looking for Schönfire.
Yeah, they go for the flash body slam and nearly Violet there sniping him from afar with a green-white weapon set up to go.
Schönfire hit a Q there, I think, as well, but wasn't going to be able to follow it through because it was next to the Gragas. Yeah, I mean, that was a dicey skirmish. It engages with Why Not, who finds both carries standing side by side. And the traditional idea is you use Emperor's Divide, you pull them out of the engage that they just made. But it's not that simple when Violet's out of the fight and the Wukong is still there dealing damage. Remember, at this point in the game, that Wukong has enough money to be a threat, to be an issue. So Pentanet sacrificed anyone that was in the front line just to keep Violet alive.
Well, they certainly do. See Violet there trying to pick up the kill, but it went the way of Schönfire instead. But yep, that's a massive amount of gold that goes the way here for one to make sure he still continues to be relevant as this game carries on. Good opportunity, as you saw, when all grouped up.
You know, the scary thing
Yes,
as
would go
well is
crazy.
going to be about this combo, about this team composition that Bliss built, is it's very bread and butter team fighting. Like, this is a comp that's existed for a long time now. But it doesn't get, at any point, easier to verse. Because the combo is so severe that they follow one after the other, and all it takes is one good knock-up source, and it's on.
Well, we're on again, and Appy was the focus, despite going for the hook. The Shrellis has to be burnt to try and disengage away, or maybe it was just a bait, as Wynot jumps in with multiple layers of the Cyclone being activated. And Chippies tries to grab one back to try and give them really an answer to get a kill here, but Elf Bars are really just being touched.
Violet being really heavily pressured in this one. Chippies uses the ultimate as well, goes all out mode, but means he's quite squishy, so has to respect Bliss. Dongy, the star of the show right now for the side of Pensnet.gg. He's actually just stacking up his Conqueror by hitting that fake Wukong clone. If they try and get the fight off, it would proc much sooner. But Bliss still on the hunt. They are spotted out.
Wrangling for control of this mid lane once again, both seeing crippled mid-tier 1s. That is the name of the game, that is the focus.
They're going to let Violet live still as well with the red weapon, so it seems like the sights are still set on going for this objective. It's going to be on Vision. Lived is nearby, and Wynot, as you can see with those Hex Gates, gets here extremely quickly. In fact, the Hex Gates could find a flank angle if they wanted.
Daystar's not here. There is the TP now. It's going to take time. Going unstoppable is Chippy's not going to get knocked back by the explosive cast. Appy completely
Knock
isolated. Doesn't matter because Lemus is 1v1ing him so far. So he gets that kill. The Empress Divide goes out. Benvi goes gold. Still surviving. The Herald is still there. And Wynot is limping away. But finally, Chippies finds his first kill in this game. There's the kick. There's the knockback. There's Liv surviving for such a long time as the tank Gragas. But it doesn't matter. The front to back. You've got the DPS, you've taken down the Aphelios, but you've still got a second AD carry, really, in this Azir.
I think the one saving grace here is that at 19 minutes and 55 seconds, with the Herald about to expire, Lemus is able to get it with his feathers. As he is disengaging and not even looking at the Herald, the Zarya steals that one away and essentially saves the day from being able to get a free Herald summon and maybe breaking a structure. Watching this fight one more time, the most important detail is that Dongy preempts the Yasuo ult and puts out his ultimate, right? The second he uses that Emperor's Divide means that this three-man knockup from Benvi means nothing, right? The buffering of that means that Daystar is separated from the fight and the combo doesn't exist. Violet, while he goes down, and really nicely chased out by Wynot, still does so much damage before death that they're able to just protect this Azir. We've got the Divide down and created actual meaningful battle lines. Daystar does ultimately fall here, but Lemus, like you just saw, able to just snipe that one away. That's with the eye open at 300 HP.
Yeah, ripping back the feathers and saying, well, if you are going to win this team fight, you're not going to have that to at least try and snowball this game anywhere further. I mean, just look how close this is right now, right? Dead even when it comes to turrets, when it comes to gold. Very close with, obviously, the amount of kills as well. It is
what we like.
absolutely sitting on a knife's edge, and this is really the narrative we built for these two teams.
We love a good chaotic game, right? We love a good imperfect game. They've caught Schernfire here, but he has got the reinforcements nearby. And it's the willingness to make these decisions that I think is the most exciting part, because they want those fights. They're hunting for those fights. Both teams welcome the opportunity to prove that they're better, if nothing else mechanically.
Both supports you saw there, teasing at the idea of an engage. And then Wynot says, no, we're going to commit for it. One-man Emperor's Divide shoves them back. Benvi jumps in with the quickness and the charm, and that means Daystar can jump it in. Look how many CC ultimates have been chucked out. It's just playing ping pong. All over the show we go as Dongy goes gold and comes out and looks to try and say, I could do a little bit more damage, but ultimately dives. In goes Liv with the flash body slam and rip back those feathers and destroy them with a quadra kill for the ace.
Lemus goes absolutely crazy, free hitting in that skirmish as well. You can see they're not even going to regard the dragon. It doesn't matter. Come out of your pit, watch us go to the Baron buff, because we've just wiped the floor with Pentanet in a team fight. That was maybe 2 items away from an ace from Violet, but at the end of the day, this Zarya Lived gets to play with reckless abandon and no one can stop him, because just an unstoppable front line exists in front of him.
Phenomenal outbreak, massive skirmish, and potentially dire consequences for PGG. As Schernfire's going to use that Hex Gate to try and get vision for a second, see where it's at, tag it up, wonder what will Bliss do to try and prevent me. Well, that is going to all in me across the wall. They've held the Baron at about 1200. Oh, it was close for a second. You nearly wondered, would it be stolen away? But a massive shutdown's gone the way as Lemus is the one lagging behind.
Yeah, no way out of the pit, right? No flash. Hook just missing as they duke it out. Why not? Gets himself over the wall, and the Baron recalls will secure their safe passage back to the base.
They found a second one. There's the kickback. You're not going anywhere, Benvi. You've got the mobility. You've got the moves, but I'm chasing you underneath that tier 2. Massive cyclone to guarantee that turret shot was not going to be evaded. And they can't help him. Appy and Violet are stuck underneath the outer turret. They're not there to back up Chippies, but the fight continues. It's prolonged. It's not clean, but it's something to really behold. As Liv just chucks out the cast, says Daystar, let's go for this fight, but Daystar's going to die for it. Wukong's still surviving.
Dongi.
And now in comes Dongi. The Emperor's divided underneath the turret into 2 tanks. Wino is still living the Triumph proc. Ever so frustrating.
Chaos. Just chaos.
Oh my gosh.
Fighting that never ends. It's hard to keep up. You
Take a
think they're going
breather.
to recall? You think a Baron's going to be enough? No, not for these teams. This fight started 2 minutes ago at the Drake. Why not kicks this one off? The Emperor's Divide tries to separate them, but it was really early. Perhaps again trying to preempt the Daystar follow through, but just a really nice team fight initiation from Bliss. Separates them, and watch Lemus with how free he is to deal damage here. Gale forcing forwards, and then flash body slam from Liv. Cements them all in a straight line. The repositioning, fantastic. And I mean, 2 more items on Violet's a different story, but he doesn't have those. Bliss will get themselves the Baron. Pensnet will get themselves a few picks. And overall, I think it's still Bliss favored because they've got Baron to work with, but not on everyone.
No. Certainly a few members were denied of that luxury. But I tell you what, I am thoroughly entertained by this one. We're looking to try and go for the most bloodthirsty game that we've seen so far. As they will go towards that second dragon to claim for themselves. And we get to check in to see where it all really matters right now. And it is Dongi, the only one at the top there for Pentanet.
I think a very interesting challenge is about to happen for Pentanet.gg, and it is how good is Dongi as the solo carry of the team. Because Violet's going to do his absolute best, but he's hard pressured by the comp of Bliss. It's so difficult to execute and play out this Aphelios just because of the pressure that's there, right? You're not going to be saved by the Gale Force. It might just help a little bit. They have damage to kill you at all times. Dongi has the same issue, but he also has 3 items and is extremely fed as a scaling carry on that Azir. If they're able to position perfectly, and same can be said for Violet as well, to be fair, as he gets towards his 3rd item, if he's able to position correctly, they can still win. But it's all about how the engage looks from Bliss, right? If they're pressured, if their engage misses, it's not perfect. They run the risk of being countered, and the counterpunch hurts from Pentanet. But if their engage is good, kind of just have to accept reality. And that's where the dance in this game becomes about vision and setup. It doesn't become about just execution. It's what happens before the execution to make that easy.
I suppose when you look about execution, it's about making sure that both Dongi and Violet aren't in a position where they both are getting knocked up at the same time to give Daystar that springboard to do all that damage. Why not's been quietly having a blinder?
Because when you think about it as well, right, compositionally, Azir wants to be standing next to the Aphelios because you protect him. Right? Like you're meant to be separating them, but not always true as we're looking mid.
There is the wraparound, there is the knockback, and that is Benvi being absolutely knocked back into Narnia.
Oh.
Where are you going?
Just play safe, lol. Just play safe.
He was at his turret and got kicked back for like 20 different doors.
And there was a Hex Gate coming through the reinforcements, but there he gets Cassante ulted into a Lee Sin kick, and Benvi has discovered what it looks like in the locker rooms for Pentanet. That's how far he was taken. Turret falls, and ultimately the mistake is being there in the first place, but he's trying to protect his AD carry as well. He's made to pay.
Certainly is made to pay. Question becomes though, what can Pentanet look to try and profit off this? With a rare moment to try and play the map in a 5v4 state. Look to just try and farm up an absolute treat here by sticking to those side lanes, and they are just going to be matched. Seemingly just ping pong. Seemingly still the major focus is that mid lane has to be looked at because that is the highway to our success, and that is now what Team Bliss are doing. Absolutely. They say you've got knockbacks, you've got CC. Hey, we have some of that too.
Shownfire tries to flash out, tries to gore drink, and maybe can cover enough distance for the reinforcements of his team to be there. But now it's just going to be a little bit sad because he used the flash and died. So will wish he had that one for any forthcoming fights. There is a minute until Baron is up, so losing your jungler is going to hurt a little bit with being able to set up for those objectives, right? Actually get that vision control out. And you'll see a lot more focus now from Pensinet on controlling mid-wave because they can't face check, knowing that there is a Yasuo combo just waiting for them.
And it only gets worse now that the Anathema's chains have been just picked up here by Why Not. You'd imagine that's on to Violet, make his life even more difficult, as if it wasn't already enough. They just have so many ways to crowd control these individuals.
And the scary thing as well that Pensinet are always going to think of, like the flowchart, the process of elimination, is Yasuo on vision? If yes, you know how to play the counter. If no, if they're engaging, is he waiting? Like, is that a combo that's waiting, you know? So you've always got that thought in your mind. Pensinet going to clear that mid-wave, try and catch the recall timers of Bliss to get some vision down themselves, maybe a teleport ward, maybe a flank angle. They'll clear out the pit, and now they have to come back for this mid-wave, which means all of their vision is placed. So if Bliss get control of the river, Pensinet are blind, which is why you can see a little bit more pressure being put down here.
Yeah, they've been bullied out of that Baron side river, back towards this mid-wave to answer to it before Bliss answer the call, really, and say, if you're faking this Baron, we just siege down mid.
And now they'll clear out that vision themselves. So a recall is in order here for at least the support of Appy. But if he recalls, they don't get any mid control. And this is where that becomes a very delicate dance to take. They're looking for perhaps forcing a fight. Drake up in 20 seconds. Baron already up.
Opportunities. Chippy's there buffering unstoppable. In goes Why Not, the most disgusting cyclone. And everybody's knocked up in the air. That's going to be the most beautiful ace. You may just see a perfect one at that, and that is Bliss saying, forget Dragon or Baron, we want to end the game now.
Brilliant combo by Bliss once again. Their comp is built for it, but the execution is picture perfect. Why Not finds his angle, but the follow-up is instant from the rest of the squad. And without a doubt, game number one going the way of Team Bliss.
Phenomenal. Absolutely scintillating there in this game. 30 minutes on the dot. So many kills, so much action, so much chaos. But we're all really about it. We subscribe to it. And now they're 1-0 up in this best of 3.
And I think the star of the show for me, we complimented how well Lived was playing, and it's more so the map movements, right? Getting around, getting active, stopping Pensinet from kind of any snowball at all, really. And this is a team that had a 5-0 mid laner that was 1v2 killing Bliss. Like, it wasn't perfect from Bliss, but it was more than good enough. Yeah. And that's really all it takes to win a best of 3, right? Just show up better than your opponents do on the day. And as far as this first game goes, they draft simple, they execute well, and not every single time, but they execute well when it matters. And that's all it takes to get that win.
What a game. What a beautiful performance.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. We're all sitting like this, huh? Yeah, look, Bliss, big game though, hey? As soon as that Yas was locked, I was like, oh, they're doing it. Oh,
Let's
there's
do
some
this, Mac.
knockups. Oh, it's looking good. Oh,
This is a
it's a bloody
flexibility check.
composition.
Is your back
oh, they made it happen. That last fight though, huh? That's got to feel good.
Does that
if you
hurt your
won.
legs?
It really does. I don't.
You can't do it?
Oh! Anyway, can you break down what went down in this game?
Yeah, what went down? Well, Bomba into Bomba into Bomba, and Mr. Violet couldn't really play the game. I mean, with this, I feel as we've been talking about it for the entire night. I don't think without a Lulu or Thresh, this I feel is going to survive any team fight without that flash available. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, even Rusty mentioned Liv played this game extremely well, especially around the Dragon, where everyone was focused on Levens, which he did get a quadra kill, which is huge, but Liv pretty much set that entire fight up, which was beautiful. I believe, was it this fight? Yeah, it was this fight. It was this fight. So we get the Yasuo ultimate right there, and then the Bomba separates everyone, but look at Liv in about 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Anyways, yeah, so he got a really nice, he was just able to get the backline throughout all these team fights, and when you do opt into a 5v5 composition, I was getting a little bit worried because Lid was going full tank, and if you take a look at Team Bliss's team composition, well, they don't have a reliable AP source, but that doesn't matter because if you don't let the Cassante get his items to that late game stage, well, you just beat them in every single 5v5.
And even in that last fight, That last fight was so disgusting. You see Dongi go golden, trying to break up the wombo combo. Comes at, there's a charm, there's another knockup. Can't flash, can't open his device, can't do anything. I mean, it was just beautiful.
Yeah, just great execution. You know that Bliss were talking. They're like, we need to stagger this util. We need to stagger these abilities and stagger the knockups so we can just keep Daystar absolutely farming. And that's what he did as well. But look at that. It was the whole team really coming through. You're looking at Zaya with the top damage of 18.9 and then Liv with 16.5 as that fourth on the board.
Yeah, can we just talk about this full tank Gragas doing so much damage in this game? That just means how much he was contributing in those team fights. But I also want to give credit to Violet. He was playing under extreme stressful conditions where he's still able to match the damage from this Zaya, but unfortunately, if we take a look at both the junglers, well, one is 11k, one is 17k, but I just think this Wukong picked head alongside Yasuo just got so many things rolling, and even Benvi had a pretty good performance for this game one as well.
Also, the bloody snipe on that second Herald as well with the recalled feathers. I didn't even notice it. I was just like, why aren't they grabbing the eye? Like, what's going on? They just demolished in that fight, and nah, it was just Limas. Perfection. Herald denial. Now, talk to me. Are we going to see more of that in game 2? Is it just going to be absolute mayhem again? Do you think that we're going to see some shifting in the drafting stage, or is Bliss just going to get bloody Exodia again?
Liv said we were going to get spicy early games, and they served, leaving no crumbs on the plate. So, I'm expecting a Nautilus, a Kai'Sa for the next game. Could that perhaps be Games 2 draft? We'll come back with you on this one because Coach Kitty is our cooking.
We're gonna need a break for Kitty to cook.
What's the coach cooking? Because usually they just bring a couple of bloody chopped up oranges as snacks. But look, maybe you got those 3 Michelin stars for your orange slices.
They're going to change between games. Is the #1 thing for me, right? Like ultimately, they had a comp that I don't think they'll be too happy with when they were dealing against the team fighting team.
Well, we saw someone suggest a bit more Yasuo in the mid lane at one point, right? And we got that from the fans.
Diana?
So someone was pretty happy with that. Let's see if anyone else is going to be happy, be able to pick some more correct champions. Bacon Griefer, get a better name, understandable. Haven't seen Renata be played ever since she was nerfed. We need more Renata. Didn't we get a Renata last week?
We have seen Renata.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of it into like the heavy engage. You just ult, they can't do anything.
It's more like we will see more Renata when we see more melee compositions. Like we will see more Renata when we see Nautilus being blind picked, right? So there's kind of conditions for entry. So I think this is actually a really good choice. If the question is what champ do you want to see more of, I think Bacon Griefer might be spot on. We might be seeing more Renata.
Okay. Do you think Renata would be actually a decent counter into the comp we just saw from Bliss?
If the Renata positions perfectly, perhaps, but you're up against something like the Yasuo, so if he places his wall nicely to counter your ultimate, then it might work the opposite way. But imagine if we switched out the Nautilus from the previous game to something like the Renata, where Violet would revive, potentially from getting a return kill.
Well, we'll see if that one gets played in the next one. Of course, let's jump on to Deadly G, Seraphine bot lane with Larks. No, move on to the next one. Please. Deadly Ghost, get out of here.
Allows your top side to go full ADs. Not good, Deadly Ghost. You should know better. I see you in Twitch chat all the time. Single damage composition on the top side, easily beaten with plated steel caps. Stop the cap.
This is a joke. This is a joke. Get it off. Get it off.
Plated steel caps are only getting buffed.
Deadly
it's only going to get worse.
Respect for submission, but a terrible submission. Never seen a worse one.
He should know better.
We got
Mabinogi.
Mabinogi cast. Yeah, I was having a bit of trouble there. We got Sarah, huh? Hey, Sarah. Let's get some Thresh up in here. True, it has been banned a fair few times tonight, but would like to see a bit of Thresh there. Fellas in support have been on Enchanted duty or split. Let them have some fun. We were talking about this one as well. You know, that Lantern... seeing a good Lantern get those ADCs, get anyone out of dodge, it just tastes so sweet.
Do you think Benvi had fun with his Thresh pick? Do you think he was really loving that Thresh pick when the coach said, "You pick Thresh here," and then he went 1 and 5? Do you think he liked that one?
I reckon he did.
He's gone.
He's
gone more than
have
1-5, so it's not the worst.
I don't have nothing against Benvi. He actually is just the really unfortunate one who dies all the time on Bliss.
He didn't die a huge amount that game. He had some pretty good knock-ups, but then again, so did the whole damn team. And let's see if those knock-ups continue into game 2, which is coming up just after the break. Ladies and gents, don't go too far. We got to put a crown on one of these teams.
Break up in 20 seconds. Baron already up.
Opportunities. Chippy's there buffering unstoppable. In goes Wynot, the most disgusting cyclone. And everybody's knocked up in the air. That's going to be the most beautiful ace. You may just see a perfect one at that. And that is Bliss saying, forget Dragon or Baron. We want to end the game now.
Brilliant combo by Bliss.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is definitely playoffs, and we are getting provided with the good Liga Legandos here on the LCO. That first game of this second series of the day between Bliss and Pentanet was extraordinary, and I cannot wait to see what is going to be cooked up in the draft. For game number 2, I really hope we get another little Exodia draft coming through from Bliss. But I would be very, very curious to talk to PGG if they don't pick red side here, if they don't go for that counter pick, because then we get to see exactly what Bliss is going to be able to do. They get a prio pick, they get to play on the opposite side of the rift, change it up a little bit. Yeah, it'll be an interesting affair. Now, You've had a couple of minutes to regain your thoughts. What did you come up with during the break other than the conversation that we had the whole time through it?
We're not going to talk about
I'm
that
just
one.
derailed off that alone.
We're not going to talk about that one.
Oh, yeah, huh? Wait,
Let's look at the previous draft real quick and
Yep.
talk about that so that we completely forget what we were talking about beforehand. I think, one, red side's obviously going to be a really important factor, like you just highlighted, for Pensinet. So coming to the second game, if they choose that, I think that's a plus, because then you can't R5 Yasuo and just have like a comp gap, right? In saying that, my only question that I have for Bliss is Gragas Yasuo is still very pickable, right? Like Zaya Rakan's a good duo, Gragas Yasuo is still a really good duo. They don't need to have a 5-man team fighting composition for that to work, and the Gragas can also go jungle. So for me, it might actually be more valuable to pick the Gragas or ban the Gragas, because that seems too powerful for the side of Bliss and gives them too much of a combo.
Yeah.
So that could be like the #1 change that I would make in the draft phase. I don't think the Lee Sin first pick's bad by any means, and I don't think the Aphelios pick is bad, but you have to really make sure you can protect that Aphelios or he doesn't get to play the game. That's the 3rd game in a row between 4 teams where the
0
Aphelios
wins.
cannot play the game.
Is that the first time we've seen Lemus on the Zaya?
This split, yeah, I believe so.
This split? Yeah, looked good. Now, look, side select's ready. Let's see what side we're going to be jumping onto for PGG. And it is going to be that red side, so we are going to flip things over here on the Rift. PGG get counter pick. Who are they saving it for?
Well, historically, they've sort of flexed it towards the top lane for chippies, but it's not always been the most outright, like this will just crush, kind of like what the Yasuo just demonstrated in that last game. So I'm curious to see if they're going to demonstrate a different type of, way of utilizing that, because we have seen chippies say sometimes, forget about TP advantages, I just want to win lane. If Liv keeps playing like this, maybe it is a case of just running like an Ignite matchup and just saying, I will crush
Olaf.
you. You can't group up, right? The Olaf's not being banned away. If you draft heavy CC, Olaf just kind of laughs at it all.
I'm going to toss this into PGG's draft too and how they approach it. I think the Zaya needs to get taken away because it is the perfect weak side. It has so many synergies that it goes well with, and it looked really good on Lemurs. I mean, it has really good laning phase and team fighting, and we know that PGG is the aggressors and they love fighting in the early game. So if you're playing into something where you are willing to choose the melees into a Zaya, well, it's never going to go good for you. So I think considering the first 3 bans for PGG, maybe they can take the Zaya off.
Okay. Well, why not 50 in the Bliss shop to get half the price off all those things? But look,
Next week's going to be why not 80?
Ding,
why
ding,
not 80?
ding.
Why not 100? And all the Bliss merch is
More,
free. Wow.
more money for Mac.
Look, by the way, ladies and gents, get those Twitch points on which team you think is going to take the big old dub in Game 2 here for the Dear Fan Vote. 70-something%
I guess
went
Twitch
with
chat knows.
Bliss, and they just knew.
They know.
So that's another correct
That's why they're beating us
Partial
all in
prediction.
predictions.
They're too good.
Except maybe
71%.
Maybe.
Insane. And they're getting a lot of stonks. They're getting a lot of those Twitch points. The 29% remaining of the PGG Twitch point putters just lost it all. So this Dear Fan Vote probably going to look even more one-sided.
It's an even better to vote on PGG then. Double down.
Hey, the trick play.
Play
They
the
are on
odds.
red side. They're on red side. Red side has been strong side.
most of us also predicted 3 games, I believe. So we are expecting the bounce back from Pensinet,
Yep.
and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
You know, Bliss revealed their strategy, and now the strategy can be dealt with, and it might be an even playing field. And I think like the Violets still looked really good.
Yep.
Like their team fighting still can be very much capable here. A little bit shaky from Pensinet overall, but I would just back Violet. Just give him a winning bot lane matchup and just deal with the double heal Zaya Rakan.
Okay. Yeah, double heal. I know you guys are having a bit of a chuckle about it. Do you think that's going to change up going into the next game? Well, hold that thought. We'll see very shortly because Champ Select is ready. Let's see if it's another 2-0.
But please stop, Mac. We're jumping into Champ Select. Okay. Oh, it's time for the game. Team Bliss, they're going to be on blue side. Let's see what they decide to lock in.
There's too many people with ADHD on this broadcast. There's too many of us.
I really wish one day we actually get to record it. I keep saying it every single time, but one day, maybe one day it'll
We
happen.
can't have conversations with something shiny in the corner of our eyes. It just ruins everything.
Ooh, what is this?
But
Well, one
it's
had a
funny.
phenomenal performance right on the Wukong, so I'm not surprised they're going to lock that one in nice and early. Guarantee that they got a point of strength. The response, though, from PGG, a little bit different, right? They're actually going to ban away the Heimerdinger on red sides. And going to still stick to their guns and say, yes, we will adapt by locking in the Zaya, but that Lee Sin is our guy.
Yeah, the Lee Sin definitely gets locked in here, which I think the Xayah pick for Pentanet makes a lot of sense. Just Violet's so comfortable on the champion anyway. And like, if you're going to play a comp where the Aphelios plays like a Xayah should, then you just pick the better version. You know?
Yeah, sure.
Like, it's a lot easier to survive if there's a Wukong going on you and you can just press R. You know, so I like this pick, and it also doesn't mean, and the beauty of Red Side is it doesn't mean it has to be a Rakan. Bliss have shown the Lucian Nami, and you can go the Nautilus because there's a Nami. You could go the Thresh, I guess, if you wanted, because there's a Nami, right? So you have options.
And it's good to see that Lucian Nami's come back, because we've been saying it is still strong. Other regions are still playing. I mean, the PCS are still playing it fairly often as well. We just decided to opt into, let's try a little bit of Draven for a while. How's that going? Okay, maybe back to Aphelios, perhaps a Jinx chucked in the mix. Now Xayah's our next go-to pick, right? Still with all these ranged AD carries being taken off. Varus was up and available, but actually preferred still to go for the Lucian Nami.
Yeah, I mean, Talmon and the LCK were playing it yesterday, right? Like, it is still a prolific option for them. Bliss in their 4-5s as well are going to go for the Azir and the Ahri as their bans. Now, I would say the makings of a composition here for Bliss is going to be very short range, pretty dive heavy, pretty focused on dealing damage fast. Pentanet's comp right now, Lee Sin, Nautilus, and Xayah are all very good at kiting and bringing them towards you, right? You draw them in. If you're going to use the Culling and the Wukong Cyclones towards me, we're going to rend those feathers back and we're just going to rip you apart. Jax adds another dimension to the composition, which involves split pushing. Lee Sin Jax is... We're going to stop talking about Jax for a second. We're going to talk about Liv real quick. Let's talk about
It's
Liv.
happened.
The Alawi.
Thank you.
We've been talking about for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks in Champion Select, just kind of dropping the option, just thinking maybe you'd like this. Actually gets locked in here.
Awesome.
That's an insane mix-up in the way that this game gets played out. I have no idea how Jax vs Alawi goes, except that Jax is melee, so I feel like Alawi wins.
Yeah, well, I mean, you grab the soul, you have some tentacles, and really, yeah, the Jax doesn't get a free reign to do as much as you'd like. You'd have to imagine. The Veigar coming in also as their sole point of AP. Going to certainly make it a little bit more difficult for the likes of the Jax and Lee Sin to be aggressive, so they need some AP of their own. They need some range, and the Orianna is going to offer them just that.
This is such an interesting draft as well as it's completed, because Pentanet's composition, I like it. I really like what they've got as a 1-4 strategy here, right? Jax can get into mixes and team fights as well for sure, but they have a really good scaling, good damage composition, good team fighting strength, good early game picks as well between a Nautilus and a Lee Sin. The only difficulty they would run into is, like, as the game progresses, Nautilus and Lee Sin die very easily. But that's where the Xayah and the Orianna become more combo-based or self-sufficient in their DPS output. Bliss have seen a prototypical composition. They've recognized where Pentanet were going, and they have just put down the Lucian Nami aggression bot lane. They've got scaling in mid lane. They've got a jungler that is very good at ganking lanes with decent lanes to gank for, not necessarily for crowd control, but for damage output.
Yeah.
And they've just chucked in an Alawi. And I feel like that Alawi pick is slammed because they saw the Jax and said, this diffuses you completely. There aren't many points in a game where the Jax is going to be outright split pushing against that Alawi and having control of that lane. I don't know exact breakpoints. I don't know if there's a specific moment Alawi's winning or a specific moment the Jax does win. But I suspect, from what I've seen of Alawi, that there's not really a time in the game before 4 items that a Jax could go toe-to-toe and not come out heavily damaged.
Well, I'm mostly curious about how they play around the Alawi in terms of grouping up, right? Because you need time for your passive to kick in to spawn those tentacles around major objectives where you want to be strong. Obviously, all your spells interact with that. So what does it really mean? Are you always going to be isolated, having to answer the Jax in a split push? That is a question we will find out as we load now into game number 2. Team Bliss here on match point with the most wombo combo-esque comp you'd ever see. They managed to get it done with a decisive perfect ace to close out the game in only 30 minutes. In a game 2, switching the side, switching the picks, we've got a different chance for PGG to excel. And I will say, last time we saw Dongi play this Orianna, he landed some pretty good shockwaves.
He actually was an insane Orianna, now that you mention it. Yeah, it was teamfight monster. Scaled through the early game really nicely and was perfectly fine. Of course, they've given a little bit of touches to the Orianna in the way of buffs. A bit of armor here and there, etc. Some scaling strength and some early strength against those assassins and physical damage. Ori in a pretty good spot. Veigar also received, I believe it's 100 extra range on W and Q, and that's really it in terms of changes that the Veigar has seen. one of the reasons that it is such a good champion is always going to be the cage, let alone the damage, right? So couple the cage with the damage, great scaling. It means that if you're a Lee Sin, you're a Nautilus, you're a Jax, and you're trying to start a fight, and all Daystar has to do is press E, you either can't get in or you can't get out. Those are your choices. You are locked in.
Well, we might be locked into a fight at the level 1 moment right here, Rusty, because I am seeing a hook go out from Appy, feeling warmed up still from game number 1. Going to try and find himself a cheeky little first blood like he did before, but this damage being traded.
Always risky to try and fight level 1 against a Nami Lucian when they have the W that they can throw out, right? Just actually sustain through something that you don't have. So you're hoping it's a favorable trade. What it does do is it forces the push of the wave. So this is actually a very advanced position that a Lucian and Nami don't want to be in, because when they hit level 2, they're not going to be able to utilize that advantage. It's another hook hit.
Yeah, he thread the needle, found it amongst that minion wave, but is going to be walking away far worse for wear, because obviously bear in mind, it's an enchanter, so Benvi has all the sustain.
Yeah, and Limus just immediately ignites Violet. Says, I dare you to fight me. It's the, we'll call it the Direwolves tech. Praedyth was the one who always ran Ignite in the lane as the Lucian. Nami is the Lucian. But it means they're missing the kill summon, or if Appy were to go for another hook. Either way, they're just going to push bottom, right? So priority belongs to Team Bliss down here in the 2v2. Jungler not pathing towards them at all. The only issue that they're going to run into is, will Elise murder us? Because we are prone to ganks with how pushed we are. Mid's not going to have priority. It goes fairly even, but Ori can play more aggressively, having the ball placed forwards to threaten the Veigar. And Jax did manage to crash that wave in perfectly fine. Alawi is one of those champions that likes level 3, likes being able to have the Test of Spirit, and likes having the tentacles set up, which usually revolves at being safer near your turret. A bit harder to do outside of the turret range, especially when you can dodge all of those abilities with a good Counter-Strike use from Chippies.
Yeah, we've definitely got our eyes quite keen and focused on that top lane matchup to see how it all plays out. Not a matchup that we've really bear witness to, I want to say, ever since the inception of the LCO. Might be the very first time we've seen Alawi at all, so quite exciting in that fashion.
I feel like you would know this, Skimmy. Well, we do have some downtime and no one really going for those fights just yet, just Scuttle Crab control. You've played ARAMs before, I hear. A bit of an ARAM player.
Oh, just a few.
Just a bit of an enthusiast. So you've probably seen Alawi more than most have, because it's just not picked. Might have to hold the thought depending on what Shernfire does here, but it should be nothing. So you would know that an Emax Alawi is a tyrant. You don't have to do anything but hit your E.
Yeah.
Your allies kill it. That's like 70% of their HP gone from just Test of Spirit.
Yeah. That is the skill element of it, right? Making sure you hit that, because if you miss it, it is devastating. Oh, flash away from Benvi. Feeling terrified by the prospect of that hook landing. But it is going to be a 3v3 with both junglers here just protecting, just showing face more than anything.
Benvi's so afraid. That hook wasn't even going towards him. I feel like he had minions in front of him as well. Like, that was one of those flashes that didn't feel necessary. But better safe than sorry, and Pentanet will just mark the timer on that one, and they will say that is definitely some sushi in the future. Have a look for that one.
Look at the stats of Dongi's last performance on the Soriana, right? He was amongst all the kills, 80% KP. Maybe not the highest when it came to the damage share, but it didn't really matter because it was the necessity of finding decisive ultimates, decisive picks, which then allowed the rest of his team to flourish. You can see a few of those tentacles set up at the moment, and obviously that is the benefit, right? You miss your Test of Spirit, which is what you just saw there. You run in.
Chippy's just pushing the wave in. Shernfire, from the looks of it, is just here to make sure it crashes into counter gank. Dongi's here, so they're diving instead. Actually, Lived ran himself out of mana.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble right now. Has to flash away from the Sonic Wave, but Dongi's here to collect and confirm. Shockwave and a kill after. And that is first blood for a successful roam.
Yeah, so punishing the corrupting pot start here from Lived. Very nicely done by PGD, and it was a mid-roam. Like, perhaps just assuming it was a recall timer from Dongi because he hasn't gone back to base yet. Walks top instead. That's a huge play from Penta, and I really like that roam timing.
And just no vision from Bliss protecting that top side of the river, is it? It's completely lit up in favor only for PGG, so it was the freest feign of saying, I could be going back to base. Nicely done.
Yeah. No biscuits there either for the Alawi. Why not? About to be spotted.
Gonna get wrapped around by two members at once. Oh, the blast cone's been deleted. So that's going to force him to flash.
Nicely done by Violet. Preempting the only logical move that Wynon has that isn't walking to the wall to press W, but because Appy was there to threaten the hook, had to W over the wall, so was looking for the blast cone. They'll get the flash out of the jungler, which means that both top and jungle have just recently used their summoner support. You saw the flash from earlier as well. And against a Lee Sin nearing level 6 and a Nautilus, angles appear.
They certainly are. Hook, bubble, knock up supports the focus right now. Ignite goes out and Limus in trouble. Schönfire in the area. Not level 6, however. Gonna thread the needle and say instead, let's go for Benvi. Slaps the ground, nearly falls down, but still gets out with his life intact as Violet is there to kill confirm.
And Violet definitely knowing how aggressive he wants to be. Commands the battlefield down in bottom lane, brings Schönfire to the play. They find the Nami, who is flashless, and they do secure the kill that they were ultimately hunting for in the end. They also have such a sizable health advantage that Limus, feeling like it's maybe not even safe to be there, is really desperate to get that money though. Hides his vision so that they start their recalls. He's able to get himself the wave at the very least from a bad situation, as Chippies is getting his spirit really tested.
He certainly is.
I hate Alawi, I'll be honest with you.
Well, that's the annoying part, right? Is, you know, if the soul is shredded, you didn't have tentacles spawning and you've got to constantly dodge them. Multiple in the lane.
This is actually...
You're just playing a mini game at that point.
So as an aside, I'm not an Alawi main, but to my knowledge, it's Emax.
Yeah, it is.
It is a Qmax, however, from Lived here, as he's gone 4 points Q into only 1 point in the E. The reason it's an Emax is because if you're good with the tentacle timings, placement of the E, right, you deal damage to Chippies, you're going to get more damage overall from actually pulling out their spirit and testing it than you are from just hitting a Q slap to the face. The Q Max, I feel like, is the basic, not an Alawi main decision, I suppose, but as far as I know, all Alawi mains will go for the E Max.
Well, if anything, it's going to give you phenomenal wave clear. Going to make life easy to try and keep Chippies from having permanent priority.
Yeah, and that could be a factor for it as well, right? Like, I'm talking about solo queue. You know, we don't know what competitive Alawi would want. Yeah,
for sure.
Hard to say for certain.
Obviously, I wouldn't know anything compared to ARAM.
That's true. I can't believe they're not bashing
Look, I've got 5 other players in the mid lane for me. You know, you push the wave. I'm just here to test spirits.
That's true, yeah. We're just sitting in a bush. Violet being dove.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great bubble, but Limus had the aggro, so we couldn't go for the culling. It's a little bit delayed, and now there's another minion wave to protect him. So that's really unfortunate, the timing overlap there.
It was a scramble. It felt very odd from Bliss. The damage was put down onto Violet, and the bubble connected, but they didn't commit for the play. They didn't commit for the trade, and so the minions that crashed onto turret will still be collected by Violet, if nothing else. And the culling ultimately gets wasted as a pot shot afterwards. Limus had Ignite. Daystar has Ignite because he has that unsealed spellbook and it's ticked over. Ready to be aggressive.
Certainly is. When he try and find his moment to capitalize, though. There's no doubt whilst there's locked in lane, we'll just be farming up those stacks, gaining permanent AP. Certainly what you love to see as the Veigar player, but it might just be a trading here of 2 different objectives. Why not look to pick up the Herald on his own, whilst the 2-man squad of Pentanet will pick up the very first dragon, and it's 10 minutes in here.
The objective trades are always one of those interesting conundrums as well, right? Because you see the upside of taking the Herald, but at the same time, every Drake that you concede is a step closer to a win condition. I think just right now as well, Team Bliss, look at the state of their bot lane. There's a lot of health trades, a lot of really risky moments down there. They just take the freer objective, which is the Rift Herald. And Lived is able to use that timing, which might have been assumed he was hitting the Herald, to base as well and just get a good reset off. Try and set themselves up on the top side of the map, and the potential of summoning plates to break open a side lane could be really valuable for them, so would like to do so. Not that I think you want to make the Alawi lane larger and push, but you are seeing the 5 points with Alawi and Q, 1 taps, range minions, which is really insane for pushing potential. Keeping the Jax very busy, and when under turret, it's just about dodging, right? If there's minions in the way, Jax can play. If there's no minions in the way, Jax has to actually juke every time.
Yeah, you can certainly be outplayed by minions in your face. So, got to really be quick and clever with it, much like a Thresh or a Nautilus. Make sure you can land that test of spirit. Here we go to the bot lane once more. Always feels like we're looking to see it. Where would Why Not and Schoenfire decide to poke their head into?
Daystar actually dips to Fog of War on the bottom side of the map as well, though, so they are going to respect the Veigar and the Wukong could be down there. Just going to show back on the wave now. Most important thing at this exact point in time is 11 minutes 30 seconds in. Dongi has completed his mythic and has a blue buff, so he has permanent priority in mid lane. Means they get a lot more freedom to be aggressive now, Pentanet, if they want to. As they start to push towards the enemy red side jungle, and at the very least, clear out vision. The Drake up in 3 minutes. There's no real objective plays down here other than kills. So 2 very peculiar wards get placed just to try and control, I guess, the Silk Road of the jungle.
Oh, that's a nice little play there from out of vision right on towards Dongi, but he survives. He can turn around. Can he get the shockwave off? He can before he falls on down. It's Appy to pick up the killer onto the Wukong, and Daystar limping away. Now, Appy, does he have the cooldown again? They missed 2 skill shots. Now locked in the event horizon, and they're just dead for it.
That was so well played by Daystar, though, knowing that he had the stopwatch there, juking and kind of inviting the play. Because if the hook hits, he has the stopwatch. If the hook misses, he's still going to hit a wall. And then he has the cage and the stopwatch still there. Daystar just plays them for fools.
Yeah.
Just absolutely owns them both in the 1v2. Star of the show here is Why Not finding the engage angle first and foremost on Dongi. The second he comes back into lane. A really nice shockwave though, straight between them both, is able to create distance, but not enough distance to stop the damage reapplication from the R2 from Why Not. And then Daystar dodges the Sonic Wave, knows the hook's coming, just walks back towards his turret, gets the full combo off, and Schoenfire realizes that if he doesn't walk into the stun, he's going to tank another turret shot. No good option there for him. Daystar just ruins their lives.
Completely punished for the over-eagerness of landing skill shots to try and find the kill. Dodges both and says, well, that was a little bit too easy. A kill and a burnt summoner. And that is now going to mean it feels a little bit better in the bot lane. Obviously still Hex Flash is there, but you are feeling that pressure being used elsewhere.
We get the Alawi ult here.
That is the turret. That is the Alawi ult. And look how many tentacles come on down. Like you get a
health.
really short cooldown on your W.
Oh, bring it on,
and you can
Alawi
literally
gaming.
2v1. This is what Alawi does with the ultimate. The tentacles can't be killed. You do just unholy amounts of damage.
There's the tower. He tries. He tries to flash, thinks he survived one turret shot, doesn't. Bot lane Appy's dead as well.
Wow.
Rule number 1 of League of Legends, I believe everyone knows, is don't chase Singed. I'm pretty sure rule number 2 is do not go into an Alawi. So we're looking at mid.
Yeah, Shockwave has to be burned. Dongi doesn't have flash. He burns it before. Can he run away? No, just outplayed by the point-click ultimate of the Veigar. And tell you what, Rusty, in the last couple of minutes, I mean, Bliss can do no wrong.
The map has just exploded in favor of Team Bliss. This skirmish in bottom of bubble connects. We'll see how the follow-up comes through here, as that was a knock-up that we just saw into Appy, and it dissipates. So, trying to work out how exactly they die here. The Q, the culling. Appy doesn't hook until it's too late. Finds the wall, finds safety, but is in ignite range. They get really good damage down onto Violet as well, but he has to use the ultimate, and they're going to walk it out.
Yeah. Flash and Heal being burnt there, and we're just going to quickly check in and see, then recall back to base. That was always nice.
Recall a little bit of fast forward recall as well.
Yeah.
Special occasion.
Yeah, frustrating, right? Guarantees it was Lemus there,
at
flashing
top.
forward to make sure. And I feel like, this Alawi gamble is paying off so
And I
far.
mean, it's accelerated so far. It's now basically maxed in the E as well. You saw how much damage comes out. You can't really... 2 melee champions, first of all, engaging onto an Alawi that has the Black Cleaver finish is super fed. And you go into them by starting with a Jax jump in, which means you can in no way dodge the Test of Spirit, and they can buffer that with the stun. I mean, you're inviting danger. They look it in the eye, and Alawi just stamps them out.
And every time the tentacle hits a champion, you're healing as well. So, I mean, once that Divine Sunder is as complete as the second item, I mean, it's just going to be such a brick wall to try and break through.
You get one shot against an Alawi, and I think that shot has passed. Flashless means potentially killable. Yes, a Lee Sin kick under a turret can work. But inviting the ER makes it way too powerful. Bottom again?
Yeah, running it back with the exact same play, but this time Appy's going to be a little bit more safe. A bit more room to maneuver with to get himself out of harm's way. You are just seeing,
Ladies and gentlemen, depression.
Alawi in a nutshell. And it gets even worse, right? Because the fact is, if you're winning this hard, the tentacles aren't being destroyed. If a gank comes around, you just protect and go back towards, almost like an Azir going back to his turret.
Benvi.
Oh, great flash there from Benvi, denying the shockwave delivery package. Is still going to die. It was a nice idea.
Let me ask you a question, Skibby. Where was Benvi going?
Look.
I'm looking.
I'm speechless.
I'm looking.
Look, I'm trying to conjure a yarn, but
I'm
the yarn...
just saying, Max said I was harsh on Benvi,
Look.
but he is the only one that dies. He is the only one that dies.
The yarns weren't coming out there to try and form a defense.
Just saying stats. Just saying stats.
I'm just saying O2.
I like Benvi. Just saying stats.
Here's Lemus in trouble. Ward hop into the insect, into the wedding arms of Dongy. And then, well, that's just a cheeky ult from Appy, just for the sake of it. Won't get an assist. But it will be another kill and another way back into this game here for PGG to try and stem the bleeding of Bliss. Really trying to balloon a snowballing lead.
A little bit of a knock-on effect there as well, right? No vision to be able to place through our mid lane. Lemus goes for the wave, has no flash. Just gets picked off very nicely by Schönfire. Even though the Sonic Wave hits a minion right in front of him, it was the positioning of the kick straight into the waiting arms of Dongy, who, if we were to say anything about this game right now, the two things that I'm looking at is that Orianna is farming, is going to be very strong still, even though relative to Daystar, that's a 3-0 Veigar. The allow is going to be large. The second thing is that Violet is still farming up a Storm and does have that early kill, and is still going to get to those team fights strong as well. So the damage of Pensnet is there. There is danger left, right, and center, specifically with the Alawi, yes, and the Veigar massively.
Yeah, most fed in the game might we add, sitting at 8,500 gold. Actually has gone for the Frostfire instead of the Divine Sunder. Just wants to be
Teleport in.
a little bit more sticky.
5 people, it has to be enough. Lived is half HP.
Well, the Shockwave's missed,
If the E misses, it's dangerous.
but the rest of the team is here. There is the Test of Spirit, there's the ultimate. Just needed a fraction more time, maybe a couple of extra seconds. Would have life leeched up an absolute storm. That TP would have mattered. What do Bliss do elsewhere? Well, if you've committed everybody to kill our top laner, we'll summon Herald, we'll claim 1 turret, possibly even 2.
And Daystar really believed in his top laner. He teleported down there to try and assist, but either way, the Herald's in. 2 turrets fall. And Bliss say, if you want to send 5 people down there, the transaction's easy. The trade is so free to make. And they'll get themselves a sizable advantage from just that play. Liv gets to respawn with his teleport. Right, so they now get to reset, play the map, Veigar groups with the team, and they look towards objectives, they look towards those fights. They've got a Drake in a minute, but they've also got a Herald up if they wanted to go for it straight off reset. I think they're going to put their attention towards the Drake, though, because they're strong, and they don't want to give Pensnet a third.
Absolutely. Want to shut down that win condition as quickly as you can. Another Hexgate. Feels like we've had that, you know, in the majority of our games here tonight. I don't mind it.
We've only had Hex Rift.
I don't mind it.
I don't think we've had a Rift that isn't. No, you're right. It's fun.
It's far better than Cloud. Well,
It's a little bit messy sometimes with tempo and resets. You think you can sneak a Drake, but they get there too quickly. But
yeah,
it's a fun map.
He's got it that time.
Pass the test.
But this is cool. I mean, it's always exciting to see these new champions, you know, get locked in to try and upset the balance of what has been, you know, fairly staple picks for a while now. As much as we asked for the likes of Cho'Gath and Sen, I'm sure they're still just waiting to see the light of dawn.
I think it's funny because, like, it's not that Bliss are innovating and doing something brand new and revolutionary, but they're reminding everyone that these drafts exist, right?
Yeah.
They're reminding everyone that Yasuo can combo with everything. And you can't just let it go through sometimes. You now have to draft knowing that it's there, which in best ofs is so valuable, right? So coming into best of 5, if they win this and get to progress, they've now got so many different drafts that you have to consider.
You certainly do. As Appy is got to consider his life for a second there. Thankfully, he was able to buff there and just get out of the range of that tidal wave, despite hitting. Was a little bit too far gone to make sure a kill could connect. Schönfire once again called into the bot lane, needs protection, but we saw how it worked really against him in a double melee matchup to the Alawi. So much more interested in just clearing out vision.
Why not hovering this time as well? So just making sure they don't do anything crazy onto the top laner of Liv as he stands outside their turret and emotes. again, he is the teleport member of the side of Team Bliss. So if they are able to set themselves up, clear mid-wave, and look at the Baron side of the map, then Pentanet can't do what they're currently doing, but they're catching them on those reset timers, right? They were still hovering and protecting bot lane. And so Liv was a little bit overextended. And they're able to push waves out and stop this Alawi from being a pest. For at least now. Haven't stopped this guy from farming though.
No, been farming very comfortably. The only one in the game right now with a bounty. And having shoved out that wave successfully, having drawn the attention of Chippies, they're going to be doing a blind Baron. PGG have no idea.
Yeah, and they're staying out of vision right now. As long as Daystar stays to the top side of the Baron pit, they won't be spotted. Lemus and Benvi acting like nothing's changed. There's no way they're doing Baron, right? Schernfire, Spidey senses tingling maybe? Places a ward, sees it at 5k. Doesn't see the health of Why Not, but knows that it's being done and now draws their attention. Now sees the health bar.
Yeah, Blast Cones in, destroys the wards, and ultimately feels a little bit more at ease, knowing that there's no need to try and scramble some real answer back towards this play.
You can see how they're trying to cross-map with all the focus going towards this pick from Liv. Suddenly, there's a Baron that's available, and Daystar has been flashed on.
We're all in. Chippies wants it, kicked it ahead, and a Sonic Wave to shut you down. That's huge. That's what they needed. A chance to regain control, and a massive shutdown. It's actually going to swing the balance of gold much closer into favor here for PGG. Instant Cyclone, 2 members locked in place. Featherstorm drawn back and trying to do whatever it can, but it's not enough to take down the Wukong. Eventually, Chippies comes in to try and save the day. Benvi nearly dying. He's igniting to the Ignite of all things. And Lemus is here with the culling, but it wasn't enough to get anybody else.
And Schernfire waiting in the pit. He's got teammates he can use the W towards at any point if he wants to safeguard out, and will do so. Raid boss appears. PGG say Mischief managed, get out of here, as fast as they possibly can. Fantastic skirmish from them. It all starts with picking off the mid laner, who has got a greedy build. And then the fight builds through towards the river. Why Not finds an angle, looks for Violet. Benvi not as ready as Why Not was, and with absolute confidence says, I'm going for this play. Gets the kill, compliments of the Tidecaller's blessing. But at the same time, the Tidecaller has been shockwaved into the Death Realm. And Liv is really just here to stabilize what was a very chaotic decision from Team Bliss. Perhaps unexpected, given that their mid laner had just died.
One played pretty well though, had a target in mind and wasn't going to allow him to escape his grasp. Preemptively flashing to guarantee the second charge of that Cyclone was going to land.
My man's with the fancy footwork, just left, right, dodge. Please do not press E and connect. It's so annoying. We granted safe passage. Baron is going to be the play. You expect as a result of this. Lived pushes permanently, keeps Chippies busy, keeps him under turret. Still scaling up into this game. Teamfight build as well from the Jacks.
Oh, the bubble lands, and that's just disaster. You can't afford to make a mistake, especially in a position like this with the Baron right there.
The risk they have to consider here, though, is that a 2-itemer Orianna can do a significant damage burst combo. They find her.
Oh my god, the Event Horizons into the bubble. It's just too much to bear. So they've removed Dongi. He had a flash, he had a shockwave, but he just had too much CC to contend with. And the big thing for me, Rusty, is Liv doesn't have a TP, Chippies does. But they can't even utilize the numbers advantage.
Well, he's teleporting in right now because he has to. So they're going to sacrifice turrets in bot lane. And Bliss know that's exactly what the play is. If you're going to teleport your Jax in, why would we ever continue this Baron? The goal was the teleport and a turret in bot lane. The goal is to grow that gold lead. They get free resets off here as well, like you're seeing. Items purchased. Very nicely done by Bliss. They recognize the most important targets. They isolate them. They single them out. They say, okay, we've got our first pick onto the Nautilus. Orianna's got a ball sitting in the pit. We know that she's an issue. They stun the Orianna, they find her, and they kill her. Very nicely done.
Might be on for some more kills right now, as it just always feels like it stems and starts with Why Not. Always jumping on in. Lived, yep. Feeling confident with himself. I mean, he's got a Sterix gauge now, and I don't know, we don't really see too often these days. It's been changed multiple times, but he's found his target. He's got your soul. Now Chippies has to play the mini game. Watch him dodge.
Yeah, Chippy's HP in shambles. Drake going to be hit here extremely quickly. Another test of spirit comes through. Eyes on Bliss when it comes to the team fight. Schernfire's low health already. And Bliss just holding it at 3k, seeing if they can hit another Alawi, perhaps. Watch the shockwave as well. Straight up to Baron, probably.
Yeah, it's looking like it. Not much damage really been seen in that fight. Much more of a focus and an emphasis on taking down that dragon.
Why not?
The fight. Appy goes in. Master Cyclone wants to get onto 3 members. Can it kill? Why not? This time they can. The ripping back at the feathers has done its due diligence. Violet's alive, but Lemus is there as well. He's got to ignite, so still kill pressure, but the Event Horizon splits the fight in half, and then Violet, Liv just slams down on the ground. You can't kill him. He finds a double, another massive cage. And a shutdown that sets the tempo to guarantee the ace.
You can see the damage dealt in the team fight. 5.3k from the Alawi alone, 4k from the Veigar. And Team Bliss starts with an engage from the Wukong, but the follow-up from the squad is there. And try as Pentanet might, there were some good moments from them in this little fight. There was some moments of heroism for sure. Dongi hits a 3-man ultimate. They try their best to persevere and stay through it. But you just can't compete with how strong Lived is right now, and with Daystar protecting the squad. Right now, Bliss moving, right, bringing PGG towards them. The players around potentially moving to Baron. 3-man knock-up, 3-man engage. Immediately kicked and taken apart by Pentanet, who try and now disengage this one. Playing around the ball that is sitting there. Hits 3. That looks so good for them. But then Liv just R-flash. Finds it, presses W, and it really is that simple. Once the R-flash connects, there's tentacles set up everywhere already. Pentanet obsessed with clearing wards, forgot about a little old Alawi tentacle, and they get slapped.
Yep, can't kill the tentacles, can't do much about that, and you just have such a short cooldown, yet you just do obscene amounts of damage. Look at that! Chippy's a million miles away, but his clone's just destroyed.
Chippy's definitely saying I love League of Legends to himself after 1E connects and Liv punishes him relentlessly. Baron started again. You can see it has been on vision. Pentanet very much aware of this. Elise in Q and an Orianna combo out damages any smite. And so I don't think Bliss ever really go for it other than the picks first and foremost. But every single time that they draw Pentanet to the pit is an opportunity for a fight. It's an opportunity for picks. That's exactly what they're hunting for.
And also, it's an opportunity to force Chippies to have to always be stuck in this lane. We're saying that Jax is there as a split-pushing threat. He's the one actually having to answer back to the split-push Alawi.
Anyone else just feeling bad for Chippies at this point? They can't play the game.
No.
Liv is just going to win the game. And look at Pentanet. They have to respond. Orianna Ball does provide vision. They know it's at 5k HP. But Liv is also winning at the same time.
This one is a gamble. The inhibitor's there for the taking. A Baron has been secured by Why Not. He's calm and clean with it. Guarantees it for his team. Now Appy goes one way. He's going to get executed here by Lemus potentially. But the shield comes out from the locket. And that is enough to make sure that he will not fall. The base still survives for the meantime. 5 members now of Bliss have Baron.
But they do still lose the turret, I believe, in that bottom lane as well. So things going very nicely for Team Bliss. Staring down a 2-0 win here as well. Perhaps it's a date with destiny because their opponents, if they win this, unchanging, it seems like, here in the LCO. The battle in Brisbane will happen once again.
Just can't get enough of it, really.
I just love it.
We just want more and more. Scrims on stage. And what a story it really would be, right, if they were to come into this one and have a 2-0 against Chiefs into a 2-0 up against Pentanet and say, who can beat us? Who can handle the way we're playing League of Legends right now?
If they're going to beat Pentanet, they're going to beat them 2-0, and they've already beaten the Chiefs 2-0. I mean, this puts Bliss as potentially tournament favorites, just from the last 2 best-of series back-to-back.
Yeah.
I think Chiefs today looked undeniably better, though, compared to what we saw from them last week, so hard to say.
Oh, Dongi. Where do you run? He's got to dodge the E first of all, but he's running to close range.
Can't dodge
Shockwave
that.
goes out, the tentacles come down, and I mean, you just can't outplay it. He's got a death stance now. I mean, literally an immovable object.
Liv didn't even differentiate between. That hook was insane.
What on earth was that hook? Beautiful. Then there's the kick afterwards. Lemus goes golden, but it's a done deal, it would seem, unless Daystar has something to say. No, he does not. The Event Horizon tries to split the fight. The Why Not? Special of jumping in and always hitting multiple members with that Cyclone. Even Golden is still spinning around, flashing in to remove one more. And here comes Chip. He's hoping for revenge. He's had such a rough laning phase. Can he get one kill? No! Daystar denies him.
And they're just ending the game bottom as well. Why Not says this game is over. Let's wrap it up right here and now. Teleports come through, Skimmy, and Bliss might have just got themselves that 2-0.
They certainly have. What a way to do it. Back-to-back wins in a 30-minute affair. 2-0s. And they've got that rematch in Brisbane.
I think we're... You know, the funny thing about this dance, like you're seeing right now, is that Daystar has to endure it. And Wynut doesn't know how long to go for, because he never knows if he's on camera for 5 seconds or 30 seconds.
Hey, Macarena. Daystar's just like, what is happening? Why did I come to Australia?
You can see the cringe.
You can feel the cringe.
You can feel...
He's still going!
Back to Daystar. Back to Daystar.
It's okay, mate.
Don't look.
It gets better. Just don't look at him.
Don't look. He doesn't exist. He's not there. If you don't look, it's not real.
Okay. He sat down. We've won. I'm happy. It was a 2-0. What a performance, Mac.
Mate, that was something. I thought it wasn't a meta comp. Kitty was just telling me like why it was meta, why it like maybe the comp
What's the next
from
step?
Bliss might not have been like the best combination of champs there. But at the same time, everyone was playing their game perfectly. Everyone won their lane, and everyone just did their job in a stellar manner. And as you mentioned, you know, Sav probably out there on the Twitter sphere already being like, I cannot believe it.
Again?
I cannot believe it. We're coming back again. But it looks like, you know, Group B was the stacked group because Bliss and Chiefs are going to be in the upper bracket match on Wednesday, playing for a slot at PCS playoffs. Oh, it's absolutely insane. And I never thought we'd get a bloody Alawi here in the LCO, but we have and lived, who, you know, as quote-unquote, you know, doesn't do anything at top lane. Did a bloody lot today, didn't he?
Yeah, Team Bliss definitely studying all the regions across the world as we have both Veigar and Alawi coming in for this last game of the night, and they both did amazing. This Veigar was acting as the perfect, I guess, CC tool up against something like the Lee Sin and Jax, where they were pretty much suffering in all those team fights. But Alawi into Jax, from the information that I've gathered, the laning is relatively okay up to skill. However, the Jax can't ever jump onto the Alawi because if the Alawi is back, well, you just get out-traded. And Mac was talking to this about me, saying that isn't Alawi kind of bad here because you're up against something like the Xayah, which you get hard kited by, but I guess if you win lane, you win the game.
And you get to dance.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was smacking Jax the whole game, wasn't he?
Well, not even just in that game. Every team fight he was involved in,
Yeah.
like it was like, oh, it's not looking good for Bliss. And then a couple of those bloody tentacles just whack on like 3 members and just the health bars disappear.
The thing with Alawi and why it also isn't countered by something like a Xayah is all you have to do is press E, right? And then you hit that and you kill the Xayah. So there's no amount of kiting that you can do if you're in a mobile carry, and there's no way to dodge it because you're a non-mobile carry. So the Alawi pick can actually be really insane if you have the capacity to walk up to their face and just press E and not get punished for it.
And when there's a cage, and when there's a Wukong ult, and when there's a bloody big wave that locks them in place as well, and a couple of bubbles too, you can't move anywhere.
Yeah, and for this specific matchup with the Alawi versus Jax, when the Alawi does pick up her Iceborne and the Black Cleaver, it's pretty much impossible for the Jax to ever win a 1v1. And with the Alawi having such a dominant laning phase, getting, I believe, 1 versus 2 kill, like got a 1-for-0 trade in that top lane, I mean, the Chippies couldn't play the game.
Well, someone that got to play the game a lot and got a lot of kills and had a lot of fun and even got a big quadra is Limas, the king, over from Brizzy. Limas, tell me, how does that one taste? You're in the upper bracket final now. You're 1 game away from qualifying for those PCF playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? It just feels amazing. I'm honestly quite exhausted. I've just been playing solo queue and just watching VODs like all day for like the past few weeks. So to be honest, I just kind of want it to be over.
Make sure to rest up, King. You can rest after this week. Just 1 more week. I believe that you can do it because you had such an amazing performance on the Xayah and the Lucian tonight. So walk us through what draft prepping looked like, because it looked like that you guys had a really good read on Chiefs. Not you. Huh?
On PG.
GG.
It's fine. We had a good read on Chiefs as well, so you're right. Yeah. Well,
The rivalry.
I think all of our players and Kelvin combined, we put a lot of thought into draft, and we just think about like how the champions work in tandem together, and like which champions are strong and which champions are good against certain players and certain teams. So like we'd prio different champions based off of who we're versing, and I think that's what like gives us a pretty big edge.
So walk us through the Yasuo for tonight, because we saw so many synergies for that first draft where you guys pretty much dumpstered PGG.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't even know like what happened in that draft. Like, I don't
You
think
don't know?
anybody was actually thinking about the Yasuo. But then it was like 5P, and then Daystar was just like, Yasuo go, Yasuo go, and then that's it.
That was it. He just saw the knock-ups. He was like, look, that's it. Either way, Limas, what was going down in that bot lane? Because there was you went double heal in the first game. You want to talk us through the theory? Why was that an accident?
It doesn't look intentional.
Yeah, I mean, it was intentional. Kappa. Yeah, we just sort of miscommunicated, me and Ben. Like, I wanted to go Ghost, but then I changed to heal, and then Ben had heal. And in the bot lane, to be honest, I think I got gapped pretty hard this series by Violet, so I want to congratulate him. I think he played very well, and I think my teammates just played very well and made up for the gap.
And what was going on when Lived locked in the Alawi up top? Were you guys just like, they picked Jax, you know, we're going for the counter pick, I'm just going to play my game? Lived won his mini game, he won in the team fights, did you see the damage at the end as well? He had almost more than double of everyone else. So what were the comms like when you decided to go for the Alawi pick?
Well, to be honest, we've kind of just had Tristan Lived on tanks this whole time, but he's actually really good at carries as well. So once he saw like the angle for the Alawi, he was just like screaming for it, and we just gave it to him.
We definitely saw glimpses of that in 2022. I'm really happy to see him on a carry again for this year, but you guys are going to be having your rematch up against Chiefs in that upper bracket final to fight for that spot in the PCS playoffs. So now that you've seen, did you see the games of Chiefs 2-0ing, I believe, Direwolves?
Yep.
Direwolves. Yeah. It's getting really late here in Sydney. Yeah. I'm so sorry, but yes, Direwolves.
Yeah, I did actually. I watched all the LCO games. That series, to be honest, I was kind of expecting Chiefs to 2-0 that series anyway, and those guys looked pretty pissed. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be exciting when we play against them on Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever.
Loving the rivalry, Mac.
Yeah, it's just the full rematch again. Yeah, Chiefs played out of their minds today, but like so did you guys as well. And you revealed a few more of those bloody champ comps as well. Insane scenes here. Look, Limas, we're going to let you go. Enjoy the win and enjoy the day off tomorrow. You get to watch that lower bracket played out.
Thank you. See you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye. Oh, wow. Nice little bit of insight. Of course, double heal, little hiccup. Nice little bit of insight there. And as well as not actually planning the Yasuo, Daystar just called for it with 2 words.
It's funny how the whole comp was perfect for a Yasuo and they didn't plan the Yasuo. It's almost like their coach crafted the comp. And Yasuo was a good option. You know how they say you lead a horse to water? I think that's what he did with the draft. Like, it's very obviously a good Yasuo. Just let them say it, you know?
Yeah, just I think if we, you know, style it this way, you know, start to go for something a bit bigger. That Gragas, that's got to knock up. Rakan's pretty good right now, guys.
Physical damage. Do you have any physical damage champions?
Everyone goes, I've got one. I've got one too. Now look, we've also got a Dare MVP for this game. Let's see who it was, because everyone from Bliss played out of their minds, and understandably it was Lived up in the top lane. So sharing that love, 72% KP, 32% of the damage coming out from that second game, and also being on par there in the first game from this series, doing so much work up top.
Did a lot of work. Obviously was a core part of their success in game number 1, was really, really good with the separation, with some phenomenal flash body slams. Obviously the explosive cast onto the key targets to make sure that the Yasuo would get those great ultimates. And then in game 2, basically stole the show, did it all. Showcased a brand new pick in the LCO, did a ton of damage, and showcased to the rest of the teams here that, hey, look, if you're going to try and go up against us, we have a lot more tricks up our sleeve.
Tricks indeed. Now, on that note, actually, do you guys want to see a magic trick?
I don't know, do I?
Do you?
There's one.
This one?
There's another one.
This one? No, actually. It's
There's
not going to be displayed by me today. We have Houdini, who got Play of the Day. He also goes by Poltron. let's just roll the clip. Let's just see what goes on here.
This music.
All right.
Voltron goes over the Hex Gate and goes into the enemy jungle. Therefore, spotted by Raze, he's trying to chase and they run all the way to the enemy base. But it doesn't matter, there's another Hex Gate and he goes back. But there were people waiting on the other end. Babip spots this and Aladoric following close at the end. And I believe even Kisei realized that there was just some clownery happening up here. He had to just come back from the blue buff, I believe. Cut him off here, burn the ultimate.
Red buff.
Red buff.
You're not a jungler.
No, but wait, there's more because he presses the Hex Gate once again where Kisei could have ordered him.
He could have done a lot
He
of
could
things.
have ordered him and he's out. Mr. Houdini survives the entire tour of the world.
It sounds like an infomercial, but wait, there's more. Buy a Hex Gate today and you too can survive. Well done, Poltron.
Speaking of, as you guys mentioned during the cast, Hex Gates all day today.
Good day.
Good entertainment, and it provided plays like that. Look, I'm going to give it little runners-up as well. Limas with that Quadra. Insane plays coming through. There was also, you know, that Ace, which won him that first game.
Whenever you're ready
Full
to stop the
execution.
music. Ooh. No, that's good.
Kitty
You
was
can
enjoying
keep
Karen,
the
that.
Karen
music.
dancing.
Keep that.
Instead of this, what do we do now?
Rusty, why are you
No,
not
let him go. Let him go.
why don't you join him?
I was
You could be
enjoying
the
it.
I was waiting for
happy
Kitty to join
Oh,
in,
you
but
were
she's
just
still,
watching.
she's
Yeah.
still like,
Right.
she's still pouting.
He was vibing, man. We
Okay.
gotta let the guy vibe.
Well, look, you know what that means. We had two teams that lost today, and they're going down to the lower
And
bracket.
two teams that won today.
We also, but the thing is, the two teams that won aren't going to get
True.
eliminated tomorrow. The two teams that lost today, one of them is going to get eliminated tomorrow. Oh. All right, let's bring this bracket up. Let's have a quick look at what is going down on a beautiful Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. tomorrow. It is still best of 3 territory. So
The
there
last
could just
one.
be 2 games between Direwolves and PGG getting knocked out in lower bracket round 1. I reckon if you said this to me a week ago that this would be how the first round of the playoffs played out, I'd call you a joker.
Yeah.
Well, call me a joker no more because Team Bliss is going up against Chiefs for that upper bracket final. You guys don't know what is happening behind this graphic, but I may have done a gesture as I said joker. But it doesn't matter because Dials PGG, they still have that extra chance, although one is going to get eliminated by tomorrow. I think it doesn't matter as we will get a banger finals in the very end.
Well, let's have a jump into the schedule. Let's see, it's 6 p.m. Look, that might look like 5, but we've done a little bit of extra magic. We've done a little bit of extra magic. Look, Magic Mac again has ruined the graphics. I'm sorry. Look, I've just
It's
jumped
6
on the
p.m.
graphics
It's
computer.
6 p.m.
It said 5, but if you look here, it says 6.
Oh,
And
it's just
6
daylight saving,
is correct.
golly,
We're
golly.
back
6
to our
p.m.
latest schedule.
ADT,
Daylight
which means
savings
it's
goes
like
soon.
3. That's 3 p.m. bloody Perth time, right?
You
Is it
know.
3? 3 p.m. Perth time?
That's 3 hours?
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Daylight
Here we go.
savings is
Look,
confusing.
Max bloody fixed it. I've magicked it back up, you know, cooked it up in the kitchen. We got the right number there. 6 p.m., 1 game tomorrow, 1 best of 3, a short day at the office, but a very impactful one. Direwolves, who came in from that initial round robin in the top tier pole position-y place, going up against PGG here, and one of these teams is going to be completely knocked out. And the 5th team removed from the LCO for this split. Blink and you'll miss it. This split, even though Lima said it feels like it's been a long time, I think it feels like it hasn't gone for that long in comparison to the other splits, you know?
No, I don't really feel like that either, right? It's been a very fast split.
It's been
We had
a fast quick.
Fast
Yes.
quick. Sorry, volleyball's in my head.
I'm spiking.
Or quick,
Oh,
is it? But don't worry about it.
I
Don't worry
don't
about it.
know
Let's
the
move
other
on.
words.
It's been a fast split. There was a single round robin, right, compared to the 3 that we were used to having. So has felt accelerated. But for the players on the ground floor that are still scrimming all the time, playing solo queue when they're not, I'm sure it does feel like it drags on.
I will say, Mac, how interesting would it be if the gamble of PGG going and playing all these teams overseas, taking the gamble of, you know, mixed ping for both domestic and international, were to get knocked out in this position? You'd look at it and say, was it successful? Was that split? Like, were the foundations strong enough to say that we continue this going to split 2? We've done enough. Because in a way, it's almost kind of poetic. It's almost like PGG of old up against PGG of current, and one of them has to go away. So which one comes with the more success?
Ooh. Narratives, huh? Out with the old, in with the new.
Yeah.
What do you do? That's the question I'm throwing at you.
Bars.
And look, on that note, that brings us towards the end of one of the longer days this week. Kitty, you'll still be here tomorrow, so you get to witness the success or the loss of a team here in the LCO. What are you going to do between now and then? Sleep? Or stay up the whole time?
I'm not going to sleep. Nah, that's so unlike me. I'm going to stream on twitch.tv. Sorry. Yeah, I might stream a little. Who knows? I might
Where do you
drink
find
some
this time?
coffee. I have 63 hours a day.
63.
It's 10 p.m. and you're going to go home and stream.
You can't
Damn.
stop me.
I'm not planning on it.
She on the grind.
Go crazy.
She's on the grind.
Yeah.
Just like Dare-Ass
Respect.
Coffee. Round.
on the
fresh daily.
grind, on the
Yeah.
beans. For the coffee.
On the beans. On the beans. Look, close the show. Finish her up. We don't want
Yeah.
to keep going down this
No,
bloody hole.
Let's put a bow on
Let's
it.
keep talking. Let's keep talking. Let me finally
Hot
Well,
dog.
Matt,
Mac,
that's really
quickly.
interesting.
Let me
What do you
quickly
think
record
about
it.
that?
Wow,
I need
Mac.
to quickly record it before it disappears.
But you're going to put this public? You're going
I'm
to put this
missing.
public?
I'm missing. We got it.
Are we allowed to put
We've
that
got-
public?
Probably not, but I'm just going to do it for the memes.
Whoa.
For the archives. Twitch will never know.
Breaking NDAs. Skimmy's fired. He won't be here tomorrow, but we will
Goodbye.
be, and you will be too. LCO, day 2 of playoffs coming up then. Stay safe, stay well. See you then.
And Tibazol goes onto Biopan, but he just flashes away. The blue ultimate from the Moonlight Vigil doesn't do that much damage, though fast is still not enough to try and find that kill. Look at Cleave, though, in response from Raze. He's 1v9ing, he's jumped on their head, ripped back the feathers and said, I am the king of Oath for a reason. He'll eventually fall on down, and Zoras will deny him of that luxury. But this has been bot lane diff from day one.
The same moves. They confirm that the Raptors are being done. They look at the bottom lane.
They certainly do look at the bot lane, and Babbitt with an ultimate. Raised with a lightning crash, and a target, and a focus, and a charm that goes wide. And a Moonlight Vigil, which really gets negated as the door goes up. Out of door goes Golden, switches aggro. Don't tell me he gets that alive, Frosty. He does. Unbelievable. Now they turn it around. Kissing with another
Break up in 20 seconds. Baron already up.
opportunity. Chippy's there, buffering unstoppable. In goes Wynot, the most disgusting cyclone. And everybody's knocked up in the air. That's going to be the most beautiful ace. You may just see a perfect one at that. And that is Bliss saying, forget Dragon or Baron. We want to end the game now. Bit of emphasis on taking down that Dragon.
Why not?
The fight. Appy goes in. Massive cyclone wants to get onto 3 members. Can it kill? Why not? This time they can. The ripping back at the feathers has done its due diligence. Violet's alive, but Lemus is there as well. He's got to ignite, so still kill pressure, but the event horizon splits the fight in half, but then Violet,
Look at
but
Liv.
Liv just slams down on the ground. You can't kill him. He finds a double, another massive